I can hear that damn dribble.
Shut that.
You really should have put Mortal Kombat as the big one and had the other two kind of mini, because those are just so they don't deserve equal billing.
Well, it's what I had to work with at the time. I had to get the show posted because last minute.
You realize we're live, right?
Hi everybody!
Hi everybody!
Let my criticisms be known.
Let them be known.
I haven't even seen the movie.
I air all of my grievances in the pre-show.
It's the airing of grievances.
Damn Tribble.
Festivus of movie reviews.
It's not the airing. This isn't the airing of grievances. It's the redress of grievances.
The redress?
Mm-hmm.
Are we actually?
We could be having this banter with our images showing after we actually start the show.
That's true.
No.
Yeah, but
Are you ready, Ross? Yeah, kind of confuses the hell out of what two viewers we actually have.
Is there some reason why
we
we're
ought
not
to go
starting?
live sooner so people can listen to the banter and kind of be entertained while they wait.
We have no viewers.
It's the pre-banter, folks at home.
Right, pre-show banter.
Yep.
Hey, it worked for G&T show.
Yeah.
I miss the G&T show.
And those two used to bicker like crazy.
I remember that was epic stuff.
And used to still remain friends afterwards.
Yeah. The drunken emails.
Dating Ward. Lol.
Oh God!
That's how I got my started podcast. Drunken Saturday night emails to the G&T show.
Wow.
Crazy things in this place.
Mine was stepping into a drunken fight between George and Sean.
This is true. It's true.
And then I was like,
ready when you are.
hire him.
Are we gonna
Okay.
go on?
Yes. All right.
Tonight, we review Mortal Kombat on the Real Super Geeks.
On your capes.
Of the Real Super Geeks podcast. My name is Carlos Pedraza. Oh, well. That was an excellent intro, Ross. You really put that into Super Geeks. I love it. Welcome, folks at home, to the April 30th edition of the Real Super Geeks podcast here in the year of our quarantine 2021. And at the top of the bill today is our review of, and hopefully our own sort of like verbal Mortal Kombat of Mortal Kombat. But first, did you want to add something there, Justin? You raised your finger for some reason. Gotcha. Okay, so let's check in with my fellow hosts and our guest hosts and our run by shooting hosts, and then we'll launch into this week's topics. So we'll start off with the folks who are just passing by because actually they are in Nebraska on vacation, and that is my favorites, Travis and Lane.
Buddy. Yes, we're in Ogallala, from what I'm told it's pronounced.
Yes, Ogallala.
Anxiety just kind of hit the ceiling this week, and
so you hit the road.
Yeah, like it very much was just very last minute. I just said somewhere and just said, okay, I'm going to the lake because I like to zen out here. Unfortunately, I got here at 8:40, and by the time I got to the campground, it was like pitch black, and I was like, I'll just come by in the morning and fix it then. And so I'm staying at a Super 8 here for.
So you're sort of glamping tonight.
Yeah,
It's sort of like a Thelma and Louise, but geek style.
Can you really call it Super 8 glamping?
In Nebraska, you can.
Well,
Yeah.
It's still not a Holiday Inn, so I mean, he's not going to come out as like a doctor.
I'm pretty sure you're less likely to get bed bugs in a tent.
Not these days, because it's quarantined. We're all quarantined.
They ain't going to stop those Super 8.
Don't make me nervous. This is the first time that I'm in a hotel by myself. This is the first time I have.
Wow.
Just don't
So is
sleep
it-
under your seat.
So Travis, is it a hotel or is it like a motor inn where like your door goes to the outside?
It's a hotel.
Oh, okay.
Um,
There's a travel lodge, but
Are
you
you
chose to stay
are
at the
you
Super 8.
literally looking
Oh,
up the
God.
hotels in Oklahoma, Nebraska?
I am.
Oh my God,
This is what he
stalker!
does.
Stalker!
This is what he does. Are you even
You are
surprised?
fired, Fasse. All right. Okay. Quick question for Travis and Lane. Which one of you is Thelma and which one of you is Louise?
I don't know what you're talking about there. Honestly.
Oh.
Obviously, Lane is Thelma.
Yeah.
Thank
Lane's-
you, son. Okay, Lane. Good for you.
Oh my god, that's terrifying.
Oh,
That
That's
is
more appropriate time,
terrifying.
Justin.
Oh, that was too
Seriously.
soon.
Away.
Justin, I've never been so frightened of my face in my entire life, and my face is fairly
Welcome to
frightening.
our side of the camera.
I feel like Carlos is going to steal a baby to sacrifice to return with.
Before
I gotta get back. I gotta get back.
He's going to get more chocolate milk.
Mm-hmm. It's the milk of the devil, or the drink of the
Travis, go
devil.
ahead.
Before I forget, everybody here and everybody listening and everybody in the chat, if there's anybody in the chat, I don't know. It's April 30th. In Japan, April 30th is Weasel Day.
It is.
It is. So, yeah.
It was.
Oh yeah, it's already over in Japan.
It's technically tomorrow already.
But it's still April 30th. But yeah.
In our hearts.
Y'all gotta give tribute to Lane or something.
So it is Lane Day.
I give tribute to Lane every day.
Yes.
I have a file.
That frightens me.
So that sounds a lot worse than you think it does, Carlos.
Right now because we've been driving today and we are exhausted, and so I'm going to wish everybody here a great show. Love the
All right.
t-shirts. You all have a great night. I will catch you all next.
All right,
Good night,
you have a
Travis.
good time. Keep pressing. Bye, Travis. Bye, Lane.
Be well. Be safe.
I love you, Lane. Okay, let's find out how the rest of our folks are doing, and let's first welcome our guest host tonight. That's Commander Kirkley. Greg, how are you doing?
Doing good.
How are you justifying your existence this week?
Well, everything's going good. Watched Mortal Kombat a few times. I'm definitely ready for it.
A few times.
Yeah. Oh, come on. I watched Godzilla vs. Kong at least 10 times, so this is
my
going up there.
God, it's like you're a child.
I have a child. I mean,
Okay, well then.
my kid was.
Greg,
my
how old
kid-
are you?
Am I? I'm going to be
Yeah.
33 this year.
He is a child.
I'm probably older than Ross.
You picked like the
36.
most baby face of our cast.
39.
Wait, how
Okay,
old is
so
Ross?
how old are you,
Wow,
Ross?
wow, I can't believe this. Kirkley is actually younger than I am by a
Whoa!
year.
By
By a year. It
You're all
actually could
baby.
be even less.
You're
It could be
all
months.
baby. Shut up.
Ah. Well, okay. So you've put in your Mortal Kombat. Well, where did you find the time? You have a child.
Yeah.
I have a child and I have full-time school, so
What's wrong with you?
He was balancing the baby while watching.
Okay, yeah, I suppose
no.
you
I'm
like
not even
birthing.
joking. He's right. He's right. I was sat on the couch, watched the Mortal Kombat movie. He sat on my lap and watched the whole thing with me.
Okay,
Oh,
you
awesome.
16
months
months.
for that. That's-
16 months old.
That's like.
Great.
How did he react to the sawing of the vampire woman in half?
He kind of raised his arm a little bit. This is the kid. Okay, this is the same kid who laughs when Thanos snaps his fingers in Infinity War.
I like this kid. Bring him by. All right, Baul.
This kid has a
Raul
future
of
in
Raul.
Hollywood.
Raul from Baul, how are you this week?
I am doing good, Carlos. Thank you.
You look fabulous tonight, by the way.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. You know,
I didn't get a compliment. What the hell, Carlos?
Well, you bowled me over with the whole 10 times watching Mortal Kombat thing, so it threw me off my
You
game.
were stunned, Kirkley.
I was stunned. Okay. Well, so Raul, things are good. How are things in Arizona?
Not bad. I'm looking to join the Horror Writers Association because they seem to be a better organization than SIFWA, which is the sci-fi and fantasy version.
Well, I'm willing to stand up and say every time you've written me, I've been terrified. So you're awesome.
I was going to make a comment about him being a Baul, but you know.
I wrote some horror this week.
You what? You wrote something this week?
I wrote some horror this week in the Action Monitor group.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
it a glowing review of These Are the Voyages?
No, it was lovely. Sun Seal, how are you this week? And P.S., where the hell are you?
Okay, so this week I actually have like shiners all over my arms, like I've been punched in the face, but like on my
arm.
Because
like I've been punched in the face, but
Okay.
I was in the hospital this week.
Woo!
Yeah, not a lot of you know this, but I went into the hospital this week after I had some really disturbing chest pains Monday morning. And I mean, it felt like somebody was beating on the back of my breastplate like it was a door. Like just bam, 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 bam. And yeah, so I went into the hospital for observation overnight, and nobody can still figure out what the hell happened.
You know, I had a similar thing happen to me when I was, I forget how old I was, 40 something. And same thing. And they kept me in the hospital for like 3.5 days. Still had no idea what was up. I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, my doctor's like, okay. It could be a super delayed reaction to having the second dose. It could also be that the second dose is now starting to interact with some of your medications. So we're going to try and, take some off and leave some on and see if if it's one of those. And at this point, we just don't know.
Well, I'm glad you're alive and home.
But yeah, no, I've got bruises everywhere because those ladies could put in an IV to save their fucking life.
You don't. I've felt your pain.
And then they try and do it in the dark, which is great. That's the best thing about being in the hospital.
Putting an IV is so easy.
I got scars in my arms whenever I was in the hospital for almost 3 months of going through that exact same thing.
See, nursing these days is so like undertrained, like they're under-taught nowadays that
They're
they
rushed.
literally have to have this little hand MRI machine that acts like a fucking stud finder for veins.
Tricorder?
Yeah, I was going to say a medical tricorder.
I mean, it's literally. I mean, it's literally like a little flashlight thing that shines an MRI over your arm to find a vein. And it's like you don't know how to track veins. What?
It's so man, that hurts.
Ever since I gave up the heroin.
Wait, you gave it up?
It's a hell of a drug.
Is that why you look like
Actually,
Vigo in that picture?
I don't have a huge reaction to. You can stop that now. I don't have a huge reaction to any opiates. Like they don't do anything for me. I was in the hospital once, and I came out of surgery, and they gave me morphine, and it's like it made zero difference to me whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Like the doctor came in and said, "How you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm in a lot of pain, so I was expecting a bit more out of this morphine." I mean, I've kind of been looking forward to having morphine my entire life, and it was a bit of a disappointment. And he said, "You're the weirdest patient I've ever had."
Probably get a better reaction out of weed than morphine, I would bet.
Weed does have an effect on me. I think it's opiates that, like Vicodin, does nothing to me.
STLV, baby, yeah,
yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the Eyebrows of Doom. How are you doing this week, Ross?
I'm doing pretty good. Finals are wrapping up. I got a job.
Good job! Yay! Congratulations. That didn't take very long, dude. That's amazing.
No, I put my info up on a site called Indeed, and I got a couple recruiters out looking for people.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I
got a gig with a contracting firm, cable technician work out of a data center in Des Moines.
That's fantastic. Well, the economy's picking up, so I'm not surprised. So congratulations to you. Raina!
Carlos,
Yeah.
Carlos, by the way. Hi,
Index, our mascot.
Wait for it.
No.
There it is.
Oh.
There it is. Ooh, she looks very judgy there. That's super judgy. Index. What did I do? Super judgy Index. I'm freaking out. Raina, how are you this week?
It has been a crazy week.
Yeah?
It started out really rough, but towards Thursday, it got completely better. It was amazing how fast it flipped around, actually.
Wow.
I feel you, Raina.
I actually found out that my transition surgery is already good to go for November. So,
Congratulations.
Congratulations, sweetie.
yeah, so I'm real stoked about that because it's been, I've been doing HRT this whole time. So,
Mm-hmm.
to finally have some solidity there. It's it's perfect.
Great.
It was the news I needed for the start because Monday through Wednesday, Jesus, it was crazy.
That's actually a relatively short time for transition.
Yeah, here it's how my insurance works is they tell me do a year and a half of HRT, but then they change the laws here all of a sudden, and they're like, oh, you only have to do a year. So I'm like, yep, all right, then I'm going to do it then. So
HRT is hormone replacement therapy.
Yep.
Just for the folks at home. In case they
I'm
don't
currently 7 months in, and the end of May will be 8. So.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, congratulations. We should throw a party that week on Real Super Geeks. Of course, you'll be in the hospital.
I will be medicated from hell, but that may make things more interesting.
I was going to say, just take a laptop.
I don't want to get out of the hospital.
The last time a Super Geek was medicated, it wasn't good. Just saying.
It was you, wasn't it?
All you did was fall asleep. All you did was fall asleep.
We can have a party. Just promise me it won't be a gender reveal. I don't want shit exploding.
Those never go well.
Reverse.
I was going to say, you guys can celebrate, but I probably won't remember it, but I'll appreciate it.
Well, that's why we record these things,
Hey, there you go.
You can catch up later.
Record it on Facebook and YouTube.
All right, well, that's good news. I'm glad your week ended up on a brighter note than it started. Let's find out how things are with, you may know him as Jason Kovalik, but we like to call him Ensign Beard Fosse.
How's it going? I have a poem for you all today because it is April 30th, which means that roses are red. April is gray.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
The next time you leave your house,
No.
it's going to be May.
Wow. You just drove Commander Kirkley straight out of this podcast.
Okay, so you remember how I mentioned last week I felt like Alice? Now I look like Alice.
You actually do. And by the way, you were giving Fosse some serious side eye during that poem.
Well deserved side eye.
Well deserved, indeed.
The rest
All right.
of us are thinking it.
You are fired, Fosse. We're going to move on to our stalwart producer, Justin Burton. Justin, how was your week?
I am doing pretty good. Kind of doing a little bit of a launch here. I've been kind of working on a little side project the last few days and finally got everything together. Thanks to Sean O'Halloran for giving me the idea.
Yes, but not being on the podcast tonight.
Of course, you know.
Every time you guys have me on, Sean's not. I feel disturbed.
You're the Sean
Even when you're not here, Sean's not here.
Yeah.
The question, Greg, is if you do the Sean replacement, is are you wearing pants?
Yes. Are you wearing pants, Greg?
I'm wearing shorts.
Like
But the other
Those
day,
are technically not pants.
Exactly.
So the other day, someone over in the Real Truthers group dubbed all of us Axonar haters Axonon. So we decided to run with it and make it a brand.
There you go, Axonon TM.
Is that kind of like Narcanon with the Church of Scientology?
Oh no! God damn it!
I think the bloodshot eyes really sell that logo.
Yeah, originally I had just ripped the star, and Sean's like, "You need to do something different with that." I'm like, "Okay." So this was born.
Well, there you go.
So they said earlier it was Tally saying, "Want to get high? How about this one? You guys want to get evil?"
There you go. So Jason or Justin, you can put up that info on how people can buy their very own Axonon t-shirt.
You guys want to save the fandom?
I've actually
Save the fandom.
saved the fandom.
Okay, let's see. I think we've gotten to everyone. Yes. Yes. So we can begin. All right, folks at home, we're going to dive into, we've got lots of topics today, but the big one, the top one, the number one is our review of
Mortal
Kombat.
Fatality.
Mortal Kombat.
Kano wins.
Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Okay, first of all, I'm way too old for this, but let's jump in anyway. Ross, I'm going to hand it over to you first because I know you're very excited to talk about this movie. Folks at home, if you haven't watched it yet, it is on HBO Max or at theaters, which, by the way, it is doing very well at the box office, even though like 50% of the movie theaters are closed.
It actually beat out Demon Slayer.
And it beat out Godzilla versus Kong. So,
and this is a movie you want to watch on a big screen because if I didn't have my projector, it doesn't do justice on a regular size.
It was almost as bloody as Invincible.
I still think Invincible probably wasn't as close as this one.
All right, Ross. This is a movie based on a video game of some note. It goes back to the 90s. And there's been a previous movie, which I guess did not go over so well with the folks. But this one seems to be resonating a bit more with the folks. So why is that? Why is this one working? The other one didn't?
Well, it hasn't just been adapted into a movie. In the late 2000s, the YouTube network Machinima did a limited series called Mortal Kombat Legacy. The first season was excellent. Jerry Ryan starred as Sonya Blade. Was not very good. Warner Brothers released an animated series based on it, or animated film based on it as well. So there's been several in between the movie, the 90s movie, and now. There's a lot that I think they did right with this film. They weren't afraid with doing new things that hasn't been done in either the game or other media before. I think there's also a comic book series. So that there was it looks like that they gave the writers and directors a bit of freedom to have a little fun with this universe and what they could do. And I think one of the first good things they did was introduce a new character, and that was the protagonist whose name I can't remember. Someone help me out there.
Cole
Young. Yes.
P.S.
Cole is a fun character. He's an MMA fighter who, so he has a kind of a connection to popular culture and modern fighting culture. Since MMA is the big fighting sport instead of boxing or anything else, kind of letting him be the eyes for the audience to see through, to relate to. The fact that he's protecting a family also gives a bit of much more than someone like Jax or Sonya would be, who are kind of fighting for each other, but they don't. It's something that more people can relate to. He's more of an everyman that's that people can identify with, and I think they did a good job there. And as I'll get into later, there's a link to other characters that hasn't been done before with this guy, which is awesome. We've already done the spoiler warning, correct?
Oh no, we haven't.
No, we
No, we
haven't.
have not. Hang on. And
Spoiler.
Put that up.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
All right, go for it.
Okay. The fact that they tied him is huge. The fact that they've made him a descendant of Scorpion, of Hanzo Hasashi is incredible. Of what stories they can tell.
Poor Ross is dropping
Choppy to you
frames.
guys?
Yeah, you're coming a little choppy.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, you're clear for the
Yeah, you're
most
clear.
part moment. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And Beard Fuss, shut the hell up.
I didn't say anything.
No,
You
but
might
you
be
put it
telling
on the
yourself
screen. That's as stupid as wrong fighting game. Come on.
I don't even.
Anyway,
Zangief is a character from Super Street Fighter 2.
Oh,
Like Chun-Li.
yes.
Like Chun-Li, who they were all those woke outlets were complaining about before we even ended production of the movie.
still don't know what you're talking about. But go ahead, Ross.
So other things they did right, kind of they found a very expeditious way to get everybody together by tying in the dragon marks to get so that they can all find each other. That was good. That made
I
things
was
quick.
surprised actually. That was
They did a
totally
good job
new-
of introducing each character. Yes, that was totally new.
Yeah.
The way the way they introduced each character, it presented them all in unique and different ways. I loved Kano in the film. They did a really good job with him. Sony was excellent. The actor that plays Jax, I loved him in damn it, was it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I think so. Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
That's where I
you're
remember from. All the characters are great. One of my favorite moments is when they finally got at the midpoint and he looks at them. Are you fucking serious?
Fair.
The introduction of the villains was great. We got a sense of scale of stakes and a nice smattering of characters from different points in the game. A bunch of unimportant characters that could be easily killed off, but legitimate threats. Surprised so soon because he's a fan favorite. There was a lot of stuff that was done really well. The Goro fight towards the end, and at the end, that final fight. Oh my god, did they make Sub-Zero sinister in this film?
Yes, they did.
Holy
Yes, they did.
shit! Is a good guy as one of the defenders. So flipping the script and making him a bad guy. The feud between Sub-Zero and Scorpion is kind of one of the central elements of Mortal Kombat. Their rivalry, their hatred is one of the central story points of every iteration of this franchise. But usually, Sub-Zero's wiping out of the Shirai Ryu, which is as ubiquitous as Uncle Ben and Bruce Wayne and the Waynes getting knocked off. We've seen it so many times; it's a given. Making him the actual aggressor instead of it being a rude Scorpion in hell in the Nether Realm is interesting. Also, making the Lin Kuei a Chinese clan. If you guys weren't paying attention, the Chinese speaking Chinese subtitle.
Mhm.
That was another interesting thing that hasn't been done before. They've usually been portrayed Japanese ninja clans. So that's new. That's different. Wow, was that fight a huge payoff?
You know, they shot that fight
Making
in Japanese, English, and Chinese. So they filmed it 3 times in 3 different languages in order to get all the footage.
Mhm.
I'll also say that for fans of martial art,
that final fight when go ahead.
for fans of martial arts, if you're paying attention to the styles used, there's a lot of Wing Chun and there's a lot of wushu going on in the fights, as well as mixed martial arts MMA.
Oh yeah.
So what I'm going to wrap up so everybody else can speak now. The final fight when Scorpion comes back from hell, fighting next to his descendants. That is something that hasn't been done in Mortal Kombat before. Scorpion has typically been a prisoner of his need for revenge. He's a pawn that has been used by characters of greater power. And now with an actual link to Earthrealm, that completely changes the dynamic of Scorpion altogether. Scorpion in the past Sub-Zero was in this film. He was the one that everyone was scared of. He was Hell's assassin that showed up and you puckered. So the fact that he might be an independent agent, that he has his own agency going forward this early in the Mortal Kombat storyline, if they continue this movie storyline going forward, is huge and changes the dynamic of everything. And I loved the kind of hint at the end where Sub-Zero's body evaporates in a cloud of smoke. Minor spoiler potentially, he comes back from the dead as another fighter called Noob Saibot, who's a particularly chilling undead.
I like
Nether
the
realm.
Joe Taslim is signed on for 4 more movies.
I am so excited for where they go with this, and if it's I can't wait for the sequels. I hope they maintain this level of quality with this film, because typically sequels and second seasons of Mortal Kombat adaptations have not been very good.
Yes, we'll see if it can find its way as a franchise. Okay, who else is a Mortal Kombat fan who saw it and liked it?
I saw it. I liked it.
Okay.
I went into it thinking maybe, kind of because these adaptations usually suck, but I was really pleasantly surprised at how well they did this. Immediately after it opens, can someone? It just went so well. It was it flowed so good, and I hope whenever they do the sequel, they don't do what they did with the last Mortal Kombat movie sequel and screw everything up. I hope they try to keep a consistent timeline going, because they got a good thing going here, and I think if they keep it up, it will do pretty good.
All right, Baul, where do you weigh in on this?
I think it was a fun movie. If you lost nothing of the game, I think you would enjoy it if you're a martial arts or fantasy film buff. I think you would enjoy it if you don't mind a lot of gratuitous blood, because there is plenty. My poor mother, who I put through watching it, was shocked. Like half the film. So
I think we need to have your mom on the show at some point, because
I would love it, but she's always asleep by the time we do. She's older. She's older, guys. So you know.
I know, but she's become a legend to this.
She is. She's a wonderful lady. Maybe one day we'll have her on the show. Maybe I'll convince her.
To be fair, Raul, there are times when some of us are asleep when the show starts.
Yeah, like me. Like me. That's very true.
Okay. Son, did you get a chance to watch Mortal Kombat? Do you care?
I've not seen it, no, but I don't mind. I'd watch it if I could find a place where I could get to see it. Yeah, I'll watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of this week watching Turner Classic Movies.
Okay, well, we'll hear about that soon enough later. Greg, what did you think?
We got exactly what we wished from this movie. Pure, unadulterated, rated R fun. Ross did his elegant review of it. Here's my review of it. Every single time when I heard fatality, I lost my mind. When I heard your soul is mine, I'm like, I lost my mind. My girlfriend, her moment was Melina whipping out her side. That's her favorite weapon right there. My moment was Hiroki Sanada delivering "Get Over Here" beautifully when he goes to face Sub-Zero and help out Cole.
And then the music dropped.
The music drops. It was perfect. They did that so beautifully.
That last fight was quite good, wasn't it, Kirkley?
It was. And that's one of my favorite Japanese actors is Hiroki Sanada. Loved him in Ronin. He was great in Logan. And then it's like his movies has always been good. So when they cast him as Scorpion, I'm like, that is perfect right there for Hiroki. I absolutely loved it. I love Joe Taslim as Sub-Zero. I loved him in Warrior. So his fighting skill is clearly there for them to both really showcase what they can do. And I just that was my build. Like everybody had to build like they want to hear "Your Soul Is Mine." They want to hear Kung Lao do his fatality. Mine was just the whole Scorpion Sub-Zero fight. I loved it.
It was fantastic. It was worth the whole wait. If you didn't like any other part of the movie, that one was one to wait for.
Yeah.
All right, Reina.
I'm a big fan of the games. I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm planning to go to see it tomorrow.
Okay.
But I will say the big thing that really sells it for me is, well, Ross explaining that there's a lot of fresh takes on everything, which is fantastic because MK does rehash a lot of the same stuff, but if they do it fresh, it always comes off genuine. I have to say from the trailer, from what I've seen, it's nice to see actual moves from the game being used.
Yes.
And not to mention, it's very nice to see a big roster. Not like we're going to pick 5 people and we're going to focus on them. It's nice to see that everybody gets at least a little bit of love for once. There's so many times that these movies just don't do anything with the characters that they have, and everything that I've seen promotional-wise and from what I've heard from friends, it looks fantastic. I'm super stoked to go see it.
The fatalities,
I'm going to see it.
The fatalities from the game are in this movie. I'm just throwing that out there now.
That's what's great is that
they even have a fatality, and oh my god, it just.
Well, it actually works for it though. Is I love when actual adaptations do that. They respect the minor things. The moves, the characters, the lines. Those are such big things to people who play the games and stuff like that. So I'm real stoked to see it.
It gets a little silly towards the end when they do start breaking out some of the one-liners and they all split off to take care of their one-on-one opponents. But it's the kind of silly you expect in a video game adaptation, like the first-person scene from that terrible movie. That was the best part of it. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Whenever Scorpion appears, that's by far the best little homage. Because he shoves that spike into Sub-Zero, and you hear "Get over here," and the music drops. Oh my god!
Yeah, Greg, you were gonna say?
Yeah, I think one of the overlooked, and I hate to say this, but he was so freaking good. Was Cabal. He was. He wasn't in it that long, but Cabal was so well done. Like, if I had to go as perfectly portrayed characters, I'm going to take out Scorpion and Sub-Zero. It was Kano and Cabal. Like, those two were just absolutely blew me away. And Cabal's like going to be one of those oh, well, I remember Cole, I remember Scorpion, I remember, Sonya. For me, it's Cabal because he just stood out like with that equally smart ass attitude.
The hook swords, man.
Yes.
Those damn hook swords. And the iconic mask.
Of course.
Mortal Kombat can be the world of Mortal Kombat can be described as a D&D session gone out of control. You've got sorcerers, the undead, magic.
So that means every
I hate how
soldiers,
accurate
guns,
that is.
cyborg robots, cyborg ninjas.
So basically,
it's
every
the big three
D&D
that Sam
session.
warned us about. It's the big three.
Go ahead, son. Say our line.
So it's basically every D&D session.
Well, depending on who you play with, I suppose. Okay, is there anything anybody did not like about this movie?
That wasn't longer.
The
It wasn't
credits. The credits.
Okay, I'm gonna raise an issue. Now, I'm not a video game fan. I've never played Mortal Kombat.
You're old, we understand.
How dare you?
I know people my age who play it, but I've never
You're
done it.
fired.
But I watched it, and I was entertained. So it's not like I didn't have a good time watching this movie. But there were some things that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I will start with the number one rub wrong, and that is the character of Cole, who I thought was just basically useless through the entire film. Like, seriously. I didn't realize that he was a brand new character that was just introduced. I thought he was like, a major protagonist from the game, and come to find out that he wasn't. But he just felt like, and I think what they were trying to do through him is exactly what you pointed out, Roz, which was to make him sort of the audience point of view character. But he didn't really seem to do anything right, and he kept making wrong decisions, and everyone else found their gift, their arcana, and were able to employ it, and his just takes so dang long. It's like I don't know, he just seemed really ineffective to me overall. I mean, even after he does get his arcana, like, he basically was toast if it wasn't for Scorpion showing up. So it's like he's never ever shown as like totally competent. What's that?
He fought
He
Goro
took down
and won.
Goro.
Yes, he did.
Goro.
But
I understand as someone who doesn't play the games, you don't get the implication of that. Goro is the champion of Outworld. He is the final person that they faced.
I understand in the game who Goro is, because I researched, and one of the things that I discovered was that in the movie they don't actually portray Goro as anything more than kind of a henchman, even though in the game he's a big deal.
He did so Prince.
Well, everybody was Shang Tsung as a henchman. It's like Raiden controlling everybody else, so Shang Tsung's controlling his people.
Well, all I'm saying is, if you don't know who Goro is and you're just watching this movie as a movie, he doesn't come across as like a big deal, Anyway, so that was the only character I really had a problem with. My favorite character was Sonya. I thought she was great. I thought she was great specifically because she was not one of the chosen for almost all of the film, really. And I thought that the whole thing between her and Kano played out really well. I loved that dynamic. I thought Kano was fantastic, just hilarious and evil at the same time. So I mean, I did enjoy this film. It was only just the character of Cole that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Laser beams, you fucking pussy.
I'm sorry. I was really happy that they made right at the end, right before the credits rolled, the absence of Johnny Cage was deeply felt by me because he's one of my favorite characters.
Fair.
Because he's a movie star. He's an action movie star who gets roped into the tournaments, and you underestimate him because he's this arrogant asshole who is self-important and vain, and
saving him for
you
the
want him to get
sequels.
punched in the face.
Yes.
Do we actually?
Yes, they are saving him for the sequels.
Do we actually ever get to an actual tournament? Like I was thinking this was all leading to a tournament, and there was never a tournament.
This movie, there was no tournament,
Well,
technically.
the end part was kind of, sort of the tournaments.
Well, I know, but it wasn't a formal tournament. Like,
Yeah, technically speaking, there was no Mortal Kombat.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is basically the
But that's
beginning
going
of
to
the
lead to
Marvel Cinematic
consequences in the next
Universe.
film.
Yeah. You're right, son, because like I said, Joe Taslim is signed on for 4 more movies. One of those is assumed to be a prequel and 3 sequels. But yeah, they're looking to make a universe out of this one, and they're off to a great start.
They've got a lot to work with.
You tell me there's no bucket of
Yeah,
rubber.
There are
Real-
11.
What?
There are
Wait,
11
and
Mortal Kombat games. There are
Can we
11
just-
games and a series of comic books to draw from. So
Yeah.
a
Can
lot
we
to work
admit
with.
we're all a little bit? We have all a little bit of an asshole in us because of Kano. Because every time he spoke, I just laughed. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm just.
Kano seems to be fantastic in every medium of Mortal Kombat. I'm sorry.
The guy-
Kano is just good in everything.
I was
You're
actually,
gonna love him.
I
Love
even
this.
said in our chat at one point, I was like, no, I'm actually rooting for Kano in this one.
I don't think I ever rooted for him in this movie, but I thought he was an enjoyable character.
Very
the
much
point
so.
of Kano, though, to provide some levity in the middle of all these ultra serious, grimdark kind of characters.
Same with Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
I hope everyone saw that Ryan Reynolds put himself as Johnny Cage to advertise for his Mint Mobile on his Twitter.
I saw that this morning.
And now there's a poll going, or like some petition now to cast Ryan Reynolds as Johnny Cage. I'm like, do it.
Oh my
That's
god!
actually not a bad choice.
No, he would
No,
be
he's not.
I mean, you guys said his Deadpool character would be almost a perfect Johnny Cage.
Exactly. And since Deadpool 3 or the MCU Deadpool won't be for another couple years, he could get Mortal Kombat 2 in real quick.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding? He's living as Johnny Cage right now, just by being himself.
Just
Right.
Ryan Reynolds.
I like the thought that a third Deadpool movie would be called Deadpool the Threer.
And you're in it.
That's what I heard. Because that's what I heard come out of Kirkley's mouth.
Your damn avatar just twitched right at the right time whenever you said that.
That's why it's perfect. It smiles when I intend to smile.
Yeah, it's perfect. Okay. All right. Other thoughts on Mortal Kombat before we move on? Sounds like you all think this is the promising beginning of what may be a long-lasting franchise.
As long as they don't fuck it up like Wonder Woman 84, we'll be okay.
Hopefully, no one calls
hope.
WSA.
I was a little worried about the Mortal Kombat franchise with Mortal Kombat 11. I talked about it a bit on the show in the past. The DLC story redeemed it a bit for me. And on that note, everything you've ever seen in Mortal Kombat is canon.
All right. Fase, anything you want to chime in on here?
I just hope we get a really good Ryu and Ken fight in the next one.
God damn it.
You asshat.
Hadouken!
Hadouken!
Ross is not amused right now. Ross is
You know
not
what?
Here's
Wait a
the
minute. We need to get Falco Punch in this one.
Falcon Punch! Okay.
For the wrong fighting franchise.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question. So this is a question about the character of Lord Raken, who I got the sense
Raiden.
Who I got the sense was he supposed to be sort of a comic relief character, because they gave him all these lines that felt like they were supposed to be funny, except most of them kind of fell a little.
No, but he has perspective. He's a god. I mean, that's really.
He's one of the elder gods.
Right. Apparently, the only one who cares.
That's exactly right. He is
He is of Earthrealm. That's his job.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the concept of the character. I just felt like, and maybe this is more about the actor, but I just felt like there were some lines where it sounded like it was trying to be a funny line and it just didn't land.
I mean, if you're a god,
He
and
has
you protect
a
an
dry
entire
wit to him,
realm
but
that's
no,
like
he's not
this.
typically comic relief.
Yeah, Raiden's not supposed to be funny.
Okay.
I mean, he did that last line where he takes out Shang's son. He's all, he talks too much. That was the funny one.
That one actually was funny.
Raiden is almost like accidentally funny all the time. Like that's the thing is he's never intentionally funny. It's just the lines they always give him come off as funny given the circumstances. Yeah, that's how he is in the games too.
Okay, well then I guess they did a faithful adaptation. Okay, all right. So that was.
Although I did laugh out at that. Are you fucking kidding me? This is what I got to work with moments.
Yeah, he didn't seem to like them very much. Okay, so let's talk about Mortal Kombat's business, which we whoever's breathing in your microphone, could you not or well, keep breathing, please, but not into
Not in your mic.
Okay, so it's apparently doing really well at the box office and on HBO Max. And apparently it has, on its HBO Max numbers, put its opening weekend as the best one of all of the major films that have been released on HBO Max since they decided to release.
Wow.
So
top Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, it's number one. Number two looks to be Wonder Woman 84. And then number three is Godzilla vs. Kong. And coming in at number four is Justice League, the Snyder Cut.
The greatest superhero movie ever made. Ross is going to stab me.
So anyway, that seems to bode well for Mortal Kombat's future. And I personally believe, by the way, that Wonder Woman's is gonna pull it out. Like they're gonna see that they made some bad choices with 84, and we'll fix that for the next one. Because we know that
I sure hope so.
We know that she can be that good. They just need to, play to her strengths, which.
It's not an 80s comedy.
Yeah, the 80s is not anybody's strength. I was there.
I think the 80s could be Ryan Reynolds' strength, but
Yeah, it could for him. Also, Huey Lewis.
So Ryan Reynolds playing Ryu, is that it?
Oh God.
No, he would play Ken.
Ryan Reynolds would play Ken.
Yes. Sonic Boom.
So Ken versus Johnny Cage.
Oh my God! It's like you're all children again. Okay.
Do you know how many hours of math I ditched in high school to play Street Fighter 2 at 7-Eleven?
Fuck Street Fighter. That was Mortal Kombat for us. Or Tekken.
Wait. They had 7-Elevens when you were a kid?
Hey, screw you, son.
Screw you, son.
Well, so at that point,
when I was a kid,
at that point they were 6'9" back when I was a kid.
Oh, that's nasty, Fasse. That's nasty.
I'm pretty sure they should have been 5 and dimes.
Oh my God.
No, that's Carlos's era of the Woolworths.
I actually, yes, I but they were on their way out by the time I was a kid. They still had them. But they were.
Oh, so they have that back in the 60s? I mean,
have which? Woolworths?
The games?
No, they didn't have. My first video game was Pong, dude.
His first video game was those little horses that you put the pennies into and you ran them around.
Carlos, you're dating yourself, dude.
He was
I'm the only date I can get, apparently.
He was playing ping pong. He was playing, not ping pong, what is it called? The
Pong.
No, the table with the flappers. No.
Stop it.
Justin.
You mean ping pong?
No, I know what he's talking about. I don't know what it's called, though.
Oh, you mean foosball?
Foosball.
No, not foosball. Hold on.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. He's going to look it up. But I know what he's talking.
Yeah, I have no idea. I thought he was talking about foosball.
Pinball?
Pinball?
Pinball.
Okay.
But you're talking about it like it's from another century. Oh, I guess it is.
You're not thinking about pinball. You're thinking about Galaga.
I actually love pinball. We had a nickel arcade back in Charlotte that we used to go to. But the best pinball game I played was the Star Trek 2009 pinball that was at the very tip top of the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco.
God.
I used to have a sit-down Pac-Man table machine. That thing was the best.
Best pinball game I played was on the Windows computer when I got Windows 95, the 3D pinball.
You all are scaring me. I think it's time to start talking about Star Trek now.
Are you sure? Because that's scarier.
So the week started out as a pretty slow week for Star Trek news, and right at the end, we actually got a bit more. So the first piece that we got was some intimation that we were going to see time travel happen in Picard Season 2 with the release of some behind-the-scenes photos of Seven of Nine and Rafi, thank you, on what looks to be a bus, like a metro bus. Yeah, so we don't know what that's about.
Looks like there's a SpaceX capsule on that side of that bus.
Yes, it does. The new interplanetary something or other was on there. I don't know if you got a chance to download those pictures, Justin. If you do have them, feel free to put them up.
I do not. Jason, can you grab them?
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, it seems to me like we're starting to hear a lot of different things about Picard Season 2. Including, of course, the news that Q will be playing some kind of role in
major role,
a very big role for 2 seasons.
For 2 seasons, which was the other big news of the week for Star Trek Picard.
So George wasn't just right; he was double right.
Yeah. and not only was George right, I called the fact that this time travel is going to be involved in this season because Q.
It's Q. How is there not going to be time travel?
The whole ad was around time travel. The clock was stuck at 10:04 p.m., which was the exact same time the lightning struck the clock tower in Back to the Future. Everything in that ad said time travel.
Time travel. Yeah, it wasn't a stretch.
Well, so what about? I'll let Carlos finish just because I had an idea after what Carlos says.
All right, so I was going to say is that the other thing was that John Delancey, in an interview this week, gave some big hints. Obviously, that thank you, Andrew. Obviously, that he's going to be around for both seasons 2 and season 3, and that the Q that's going to be portrayed is not your grandfather's Q. They're changing up Q in some way, which I am totally behind. Because even John Delancey mentioned they didn't want the, mariachi Q, which I love so much.
I like the All Good Things Q. That was a different Q.
I don't like that costume.
I think
in
that's
fact,
the
that's one of the things he said
about.
in the interview. Is he's like, "Don't make me wear the tights because I ain't wearing the tights. I'm 70 years old."
But okay, so I understand.
Just don't make him wear the bathrobe from Tapestry either.
I understand the apprehension towards El Mariachi Q, especially in this more racially sensitive era.
I'm not even talking about the racial overtones. I'm just saying it's stupid.
But isn't like Q fundamentally a Loki-esque type character? And I hope
it depends on which Q.
Depends on which Loki.
Yeah,
I mean he's
exactly
the god of mischief, and even when he's doing good things for Picard, whether it's Tapestry or helping Picard find love in the Robin Hood episode, or All Good Things,
Cupid,
right? It's he's still the trickster, right? And part of Q's charm is his over-the-top delivery. So if he doesn't have that, is it really Q?
I want to say yes, just because how Carlos said this isn't your grandfather's Q. Now, would I love to see Mariachi Q come back? Yeah, but I don't think John Delancey at 70 plus years old has it in him to arch his back with a trumpet again.
I bet he would find it to do it. He's pretty spry from all the videos I've seen of him.
So
And when you see Mariachi Q again, he'll probably be in lower decks where he got animated and naps throwing his back out.
Which is yes,
Fair.
and I'm fine with him being in lower decks.
So
I feel that this isn't.
Go ahead, son.
Yeah.
So what we have of a Q is like you said, it's a Loki character, but we fundamentally always see Q be over the top when he's celebrating something, whether it's Picard getting it right or whether he's gotten his godhood back or something. That's when we see those big celebratory over the top moments of Q, like Mariachi Q.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go.
This may not be a moment for celebration when he returns to Picard.
Yes, apparently Patrick Stewart says that Q shows up after something kind of horrible happens.
Yeah, he says an inopportune time or something like that.
Oh, the
quote literally says a life-shattering moment.
Yes,
that's what it is. Thank you, son. Yeah.
Yes, it comes at a shattering moment in the episode, is what Patrick Stewart said, and I do mean a shattering moment.
My thing, I didn't keep up too much when Carlos said it, so I'm glad he's coming back for seasons 2 and 3. So there was a theory pitched that seasons 2 and 3 of Picard are going to be where we see the temporal wars talked about in Enterprise kickoff. That Picard is going to somehow cause the temporal wars, like he caused the anomaly and All Good Things. That's one theory that I've seen.
That doesn't match really, because we know
all the temporal accords and shit, all of that's no.
That's way in the future.
That's before Discovery ends up in the future.
Right. I hated Enterprise, but at least I know that the temporal wars were in the 29th century.
Yeah.
Can we record that so when Jason says he likes These Are the Voyages, we can use that against him?
No.
I don't ever say I like These Are the Voyages. I just happen to believe that it's the best episode of Enterprise.
Yes, it's important that we give him a chance every week to say that.
At least once, but if not, he cries about it and says, "You didn't give me, you can't say the same." But anyway, I think this is going to be a big redemption thing because we got time travel. We've seen the pics of B4 or B8 or F8 or whatever the android thing was. F8, B8, whatever the name of the android is.
It was B4.
Was it B4?
Yes, it was B4. Get it?
B4.
Well, okay, we see the picture of the android standing next to, card on a staircase. That's
just a synth. That's just a regular synth.
That's a synth. That wasn't before.
Yeah, we see that, and then that's what I said. I was like, F8 or whatever the synth name was from the trailer. But,
gotcha. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so we see that, and then we see another one that looks like they have a whole bunch of different Federation flags. They're darker colors, more ominous looking. So we're definitely dealing with multi-universe and time travel in the mix here. So I'm thinking we're doing a tapestry / all good things type thing, and he's trying to help Picard fix something. Most likely something.
Or he's just trying to help him come to terms with his new existence as a synth.
I feel more like what Ross is saying. I mean, this is not a show that it doesn't do comic relief. It deals with some big issues, and I think it's going to continue to deal with some big issues. Here's
the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the incredible thing about Picard season 2. Jean-Luc Picard is now unique the universe that we know of. He is a human being whose mind has been transferred into a body, and his mind, presumably his soul, and his emotions are all intact. Everything that made him Jean-Luc Picard is android body. And that makes him different in so many different ways. And when Picard starts to think about these things and starts to consider how that changes him and how that changes the very possibilities of existence, to make for some interesting and dramatic storytelling that fits in with the kind of stories that they're trying to tell in Picard.
Which is interesting because one of the things that the trial of humanity, which has been sort of the through line for Q and Picard from the beginning, doesn't really kind of apply anymore because he's no longer a human.
That's not true.
It doesn't apply, but it changes.
Well, it changes his relationship with him, but the idea of humanity continuing to be on trial kind of is not the same anymore because Picard can't truly be put up as, an example of humanity anymore because he's not.
That's also not true.
That's not true. You very well can. You very well can because he's embodies everything that was
Jean-Luc Picard. Everything that was Picard that made him human, besides his biology, is still present, including his mortality.
Yes, because
does Picard accept that and acknowledge that? And could the trial of humanity force Picard to accept through his own new nature, his own humanity? Like that's the part that really excites me about the idea of bringing Q in, because Q at his best was always about examining the nature, right? Whether it was the nature.
We're going to get into metaphysics and transism in a big way.
Whether it was about the nature of the growth of humanity in Encounter at Farpoint, to the nature of human, the seductive nature of power for humanity when Q gave Riker powers, to the nature of Picard's life when he tugged on his stringing and everything became unraveled, the nature of even the forces of the galaxy with the Borg, the forces of time with All Good Things. Q has throughout, and this is why I hate Voyager Q. It's why I hate Deep Space Nine Q, because in Voyager Q, in the Next Generation, Q always brought lessons about nature. When we get to Deep Space Nine, and we have Q in Deep Space Nine for the one episode, we get to the Q in Voyager, they just shit over the whole character and made it about something else. Sorry. Again,
well, maybe he just has a different relationship with Janeway.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the hots for her.
Not charting nebula and studying anomaly,
but charting the possibilities of existence.
But charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
You got to remember, John Delancey as Q, as we have always seen him, has held Picard to be the person on trial for humanity. Not Janeway, not Cisco, not anybody else, just Picard. And it's going to be that way, like forever. And yeah, this is going to be one of those seasons where we're going to explain, we're going to really get into the weeds of what is it to be human, much deeper than we ever did with a single episode or a handful of episodes with Data, because the main person on trial for humanity is now no longer in an organic or typical human body.
And wait, one other thing I want to call out. In Encounter at Farpoint, when Q absconded with the bridge crew of the Enterprise, Data was there, right? Yes. Not what's his face?
O'Brien.
Not O'Brien, but Data. So this idea that it has that a synth isn't part of that equation is kind of been already part of that, like part of that through line.
It's absolutely equitable.
It's going to be very interesting.
That's such a good pilot. Mention, but I don't think anybody's caught this yet. But the spacecraft for the Europa mission ad reminds me of the spacecraft. I think it was in one of the Voyager episodes from the Mars mission.
Ares.
But yeah, that's I caught that and I went, oh, that looks like the ship that the guy was on when he got swallowed by the whatever the hell it was that Janeway found, and that there was Seven was downloading all the logs of.
Subspace gravitational anomaly.
They have those every week, don't they?
Just about.
My thing is, this is the kind of a pipe dream. I know it won't happen, but my thing is when I heard about Picard becoming a series, when I saw Patrick Stewart do it like Las Vegas, my first thought was you have to bring Q back before they even started filming. Just when Patrick Stewart says Picard is back, I'm like, Q. That's who you have to bring back.
You weren't the only one. George was right there with you.
George was
the
right
whole fucking way.
And my thing was like, everybody's, because I've had people like, oh, well, how would you bring Q back? He's old. I'm like, that would be Q's obnoxiousness. He would come as an old man to Picard to tease him.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, but my thing is,
in all good things.
Exactly. But my pipe dream is have Keegan come back and play a Q. Is have him come back and play Junior.
That would be so much overkill. It would make me puke.
I
mean, it's just like.
I hope it happens.
Just imagine the look on Picard's face when he realized Q has bread.
Exactly.
I do hope that on that bus we see Kirk Thatcher.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well,
you don't have to do a direct
jukebox.
Like, yes, you don't have to do a direct, but if he's just there on the bus, that would be priceless.
Yes, well, we don't know what
he punked up. You know, he can just be himself, and that would be a great little Easter egg for everybody.
Yeah, if he was himself, for sure.
It was mentioned a few times when we were posting the leaked photos that Jerry Ryan was looking directly at the camera taking her photograph in some of those, and it makes people think that it was an intentional leak and not a oops. Somebody was just there and happened to capture a picture.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely that kind of picture. It doesn't look like a staged picture at all. I mean, like they were aware pictures were being taken.
That's what's called principal photography.
No, in principal photography, they know exactly what's going on. Okay, any other speculations you all want to speculate about?
Yes,
seasons 2 and apparently 3 of Picard.
Yes, I do. And I'm only half kidding. So Picard gets a big, huge hole in his chest, and that's when Q shows up.
Again,
okay. We've already been there.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. He literally gets a hole in his brand new android body because it's a shattering moment, and that's when Q shows up.
No,
watch Sun be right. Watch Sun be right.
I think something happened because he's a golem and he's not being accepted by somebody. He has a major blowout with somebody, or something else life-shattering happened because he is technically no longer human. And there's probably still a synth ban in place.
Well, no, we saw the
lifted at the end.
No,
of
the synth ban was lifted.
Are we sure though?
The Federation ban was lifted at the end of the series. We're not sure about the rest of the galaxy so far,
but the
Federation ban was.
Are we sure?
Yes, because Riker said it. Riker also did the planet was under the protection of the Federation.
No, it was the very last scene where he's talking to Soji, and Soji's like, and he's like, "Why? You've spent your entire life, and now you finally made home, but now you want to go." And she's like, "Well, I guess I'm just a wanderer." And he's like, and they mentioned about how the Sith ban had been lifted. They both were free to leave.
Okay.
And the second one. Okay, so Ross, you'll get a kick out of this. So because this whole thing is about time travel, Picard winds up being the instigator of the Ghost in the Shell universe.
Okay, George Jr.
George Jr. You're living up to George's legacy very well, son.
Well, there you go.
My thinking is it has something to do with the Enterprise, and we're going to see Michael Dorn appear, and Worf is going to be a part of the season somehow, and they're going to have to figure out a way to rescue the Enterprise.
Here it comes. Here comes the face palm from all of you.
For any official production.
I know Worf teased us with that tweet, and it was for the game. But here comes the collective facepalm. The Enterprise comes back, right? If it's still the Enterprise E with Picard, like in that universe, Captain Wesley Crusher.
Not going to happen.
Can't happen unless it's a completely other separate universe, because Wesley's gone.
Wesley's a lieutenant in Star Trek Nemesis. He's back in Star Trek.
He came back.
He was seen in uniform in Nemesis. The lines to say he was going to be the night shift supervisor in engineering on the Titan were cut. So that's not technically canon, but we do see him in uniform in Nemesis.
And who's to say he couldn't just come back in whatever hell uniform he wanted and then leave again?
Well, he was at a wedding, so
I mean,
he wouldn't show up in the uniform.
And in the book, even though it's not canon to be at, he hung around.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Wesley showed up in uniform, I think they'd start complaining about stolen valor.
Yeah, they would. They would.
Unless he was only put on reserve while he was away.
Yeah, but he never even graduated, did he?
Yes,
he
was a graduated ensign.
He was a full ensign before he went to the academy.
Yeah, he was granted full commission ensign. So it's conceivable he would be a full.
Starfleet officers have been placed on extended leave for long.
I mean,
I can't believe you guys are arguing over Wesley. Come on.
Seriously, like this is not a productive use of time. Okay,
when is anything from productive use of time on this show?
When it comes to Wesley Crusher.
Besides, we couldn't have what's his name play him, because if we follow the pilot or the whatever episode it was where Riker got powers, that's not how what's his name looks now. Isn't how future Wesley's supposed to look according to canon.
Will Wheaton's probably like, I should be so lucky.
Yeah.
He looks
doesn't have a beard, so
he looks exactly the same, but with a beard. Yes, what he looks like. So okay.
Patrick Stewart doesn't look like he did in All Good Things.
This is true.
He kind of does.
Give him a white beard. Give him a white beard. He might.
He kind of does minus a white beard, and
he might have gone through a beard phase in between.
A beard phase.
Dang it! What's her name?
Who?
The Romulan.
Crap.
O.
No, not Commodore O.
What is her name? It starts with an L.
The two former Tal Shiar that live with him on the vineyard.
Yes.
Laris.
Laris, yes. Laris would not let him have a beard.
You're all fired.
Yeah, Laris and Jaban. That's who they were.
They were letting Picard have a beard.
Yeah, Laris would absolutely not let him have a beard.
I'm with Ross on this one. Okay, let's move on to some other Star Trek news, and that was news that Michelle Yeoh gave an interview in which she says that the producers of Star Trek have plans for some kind of return for Emperor Giorgio, and it looks like it's something even apart from the Section 31 series, which is still a big question mark as it is. So thoughts on that, folks?
She's going to be in all of season 1 of Strange New Worlds.
I would think so.
I could see her playing a role in season 1 of Strange New Worlds.
She's literally going to. She's literally going to get guardianed onto the bridge of the Enterprise for Strange New Worlds and just be there for the whole fucking season.
And Pike is going to sit there and be like, "Oh, you're here."
Like, okay.
This is going to be a ton of paperwork.
Already.
Well, see, that would be interesting because Anson Mount came out and said that Strange New Worlds is going to be episodic, not serialized.
Right.
Thank God.
You know what else was episodic and not serialized? Deep Space Nine.
Oh, don't do it.
Don't.
Not true.
Not true.
Not true. The latter seasons became.
Anyway, the news is Michelle Yoso Carlos. She did this. So are they pitching like? Are they just going to not do Section 31 now with her and just put her in basically put her in Strange New Worlds, or like how are we theorizing that one?
Well, Strange New Worlds is still technically on deck, but it's not one of the ones that's it's not first in line or next in line for being produced. So presumably this is her appearance in somewhere else, either back on Discovery or Strange New Worlds or somewhere else.
Strange New Worlds had already been filming.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds has been in production.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying Section 31
Short
isn't.
trek.
It could be a short trek.
She's going to come back in a short trek.
It could be another season of Strange New Worlds. I mean, it's going to be around for a while. So
is she.
Well, I think what they're saying is right now they have 5 series that will be airing on Paramount Plus, with the average season I think being between 8, anywhere falling really between 8 and 13 episodes. They really are at a full year of content if they're in production. So I think the reason why Section 31 is stalled is because there just isn't room on the schedule to play it yet. So why go into production in the middle of a pandemic around Section 31 when you're having all this other content you're producing? Just wait until you have time.
Yeah, I mean that's a reasonable explanation for why it's not in production or even pre-production at this point.
That was the reason for it before the pandemic.
Well, yes, except that between now and then, they've announced additional shows. So
now we have Lower Decks season 4 Discovery coming out, then it's Picard, and then so that I can see why it's not being produced right now.
My theory is that just like Discovery, they're going to have to wait until the 3rd season of Picard, because that's probably when it'll end.
Yeah, probably
before they can rotate in a Section 31 show.
Yeah, I have to give Picard. I would say 3 seasons would be good for Picard. They'd have to end it there.
Well, I think that's probably why they're filming 2 and 3 back to back, because they're going to look to wrap it up at the end of season 3, which they already said he was wanted to do 3 seasons to begin as is. So
right.
I mean,
Well, they've come back and said that they could go more seasons. So that's. I don't think they're locked into 3 seasons. I think the story they want to tell is about 3 seasons long. That's not to say that they couldn't add on seasons later.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is also, Patrick Stewart's age, so they don't want to, commit to telling a long-term story with him at that age. So 3 years is a reasonable amount of time to expect him to be able to physically commit to a series. And if he's still up for it after that, then then they can keep it going, I suppose. And if he's still up for it, Okay, so no one wants to take any specific guesses beyond the Strange New Worlds as where else she might.
Maybe Lower Decks. Who knows?
I have to take a step back. I have to take a step back for a moment and say that it would be really interesting to have in Picard is that Q shows up, and that when he shows up, he makes a complaint about being in the wrong body because it's Sir Ian McKellen.
It would be fun if Michelle Yeoh shows up in Picard and she's the antagonist.
No.
That's crossing the streams, man.
That's how you kill Michelle. That's how you kill Georgiou.
There's only 2 places there's only 2 places I could see her showing up. It's either in TOS era or Deep Space Nine. That's when it seemed like the barriers between.
The Deep Space Nine one is kind of iffy, so I have to go probably Strange New Worlds with Ross on that one.
I think so too.
I think we could get a short trek of her returning, and then maybe her showing up.
Yeah, that's where I'm guessing that Section 30. That's when Section 31 was introduced, but it was introduced from the point of view of Dr. Bashir. any interaction with Section 31 otherwise. So that'd be the perfect opportunity to not only recontextualize the organization as something other than a sinister shadow organ Starfleet. And she would be the perfect vehicle to do that.
I know where Georgiou should show up. Season 4 of Cobra Kai.
Oh. God.
I totally agree with that. Okay, so we'll see where she does end up. We'll keep our eyes open for further news, and maybe we can come up with some sort of betting pool for where and how she returns. Okay, let's switch universes and head over to talking about the Nevers this week. How many of you have yet to see it?
No, I saw it.
Oh, you did.
I haven't seen it.
Okay. You haven't seen it, Ross?
I'm going to bow to this one.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure we're going to spend much time if only 3 of us have watched it. But it is, I think, picking up steam. And it's creating I think, a pretty good, coherent little world that they're.
I have an observation that I made to the group. I don't think anybody reacted to it, but the creation myth in the Nevers is a lot like a property of George R.R. Martin's called Wild Cards. In Wild Cards, an alien battle happens above the face of the Earth, and just like a tarragon mist type of thing leaks out from one of the ships and infects the Earth with a virus that affects people into superhero or mutant-looking creatures. When I saw the Nevers presentation of what started the entire thing, I just thought, my God, they're stealing from this dude. This is not going to go well.
I don't know if it's that original concept, actually, but I do see, there's definitely a parallel there. But are you enjoying it, Raul?
I am enjoying it, but I have no problems with it. Besides, I was a little shocked at that intro.
Oh, to how they were touched.
How they got the powers? Yeah, I was shocked. So, because we're talking about a property that George R.R. Martin wrote in the '80s, so it's not like I know Joss Whedon is big on geek culture. So he probably is aware of it, especially if he's been doing superhero stuff.
Yeah, before you leave.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
All right. So, anything else, Justin? You're caught up, right?
I'm on episode 2. I did not get a chance to watch episode 3. When did that drop?
It drops on Sunday nights.
On Sunday night. Okay.
Yeah.
Usually
around 6 o'clock
Pacific.
So
we're up to 3.
Yeah, we're up to 3.
Okay. Yeah, because I watched the latest episode of Invincible before the show, but I didn't get a chance to watch the Never. So okay, I'll make note to watch that one. And I'll give my opinion on episode 3 next week. 3 and 4 next week. I love it so far.
I do have a take on the Nevers. It's like a more watchable Penny Dreadful.
Yes.
Even though I love Penny Dreadful, don't get me wrong. I just think that this is a much broader appeal to the Penny Dreadful type world.
The first couple of minutes I was kind of iffy. I was watching. I'm going like, oh God, what is this? Whatever Carlos got me into, and I'm watching it, and it just kind of goes into the stride, and it has a few some of the slow spots, but it turns out to be rather enjoyable. And
well, wait till you see this latest episode. It has one of the most incredible fight sequences ever put onto film.
I'm loving what I'm seeing so far, and I've been watching on my big screen just because this just that good.
Yeah, when you watch it, make sure you stick around for the little after show that they do. Most HBO shows do that after the credits. They do a little behind the scenes, discussion of what happened in the episode. And in this one, they show you how they shot that big fight scene, and it's pretty amazing technically how they pulled that off. So so after you watch it, definitely stick around and watch. It's less than 10 minutes long, the thing, but they show a lot about how they accomplished it and how they put it together so it looks really really authentic the way that it was shown on screen. So
awesome.
Worth a look. I think there's a whole genre now of sort of steampunky kind of Victorian era set superhero and science fiction stuff that's come out in recent years, and sort of hit and miss. I think some of them work great, others not as well. This one I think falls into the works great.
I kind of like that look. I kind of like the look with the little steampunk is thrown in to the mix. It kind of adds a little bit of flair. Just something old, but something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's like close enough to modern times that you can have kind of older analogs of things we're familiar with, like they show, an automobile in it, but it looks and feels like an early automobile, but still sort of sporty, and it does the job. So I think their use of technology works in a way without feeling anachronistic.
Well, the thing is that they have a character whose ability is completely technology, which is sort of to be honest, this is Josh Whedon's crutch, is that he always uses a person that is adept with technology, kind of a cutesy girl next door kind of appearance, but always with the tech needed for the episode.
Just what we need.
Exactly. And he's done it before in Firefly. He's done it before in Buffy, and he's doing it again in the Nevers.
Yeah, it's definitely a signature move for him. But one of his strengths, whatever you think of Joss Whedon as a person, one of his strengths as a storyteller is in building these very coherent and complex, but not complicated worlds. And I think we're seeing that, unfold on the Nevers, and it'll be interesting to see now that he's stepped away from it, he's not apparently not going to be writing anymore or directing anymore, and the showrunning has been delegated to another person. How well they're going to be able to keep that going, and I hope they do, because I think it's gotten off to a really strong start.
It's worthwhile. Besides I may have sounded like I'm complaining about several points, but the fact is that I used to be a big Josh Whedon fan before his personal troubles got the better of him. But he is a very talented writer creator.
Yeah, and I think that's on display here for sure. All right, any other thoughts on the Nevers before we move on? Okay, there are two big pieces of Marvel news this week that both have to do with women being given really important creative roles in two big Marvel projects that are coming up. Number one is that Oscar-winning director Chloe Zhao, whose Nomadland brought home some Oscars this past week, is going to be directing the Eternals, or has directed, right? It's already in the can, isn't it?
They should be.
Yeah,
they should be done with it.
Yeah, it's in editing right now, I think I read. A very interesting choice. And I would actually love to know, I didn't get a chance in looking at some of the articles about this week. I would love to know at what point they brought her on board vis-a-vis, like how they found her, with where she was with her filmography at that point. Because I'm not sure exactly when Nomadland went into production, but it was not a huge budget movie. I think the whole thing was like 10 million, 15 million, which for a movie that's not very much, feature film. But how many of you have seen Nomadland, by the way? Anybody?
Nope.
Oh, you did see it, right?
Mike is muted.
If you haven't seen it, give it a try. It's on Hulu. It's kind of amazing to me that Hulu is winning Oscars. So good for them, and good for her. She apparently, I think, is going to bring. They're saying he's going to bring a very different take to a Marvel film. And Raul, I know you're you might want to weigh in on this one because you're the one who actually gave me the heads up on this story early in the week. But given her own background, her own style, I'm looking forward to seeing it. A different sort of take for a Marvel movie.
Yeah, get ready to see more of a metaphysical and a personal family drama in the Eternals, both combined at the same time. She has an ethereal kind of way of doing movies. I haven't seen No Man Land, but I saw a selection of her other movies in a kind of a medley on Sundance Channel, and they are excellent.
Yeah,
I think people are going to enjoy her style.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely in No Man Land had a very sort of cinema verite style in her approach. I don't know how necessarily well that specific stylistic take would work in a Marvel film, but I think it definitely will see a different kind of Marvel film. And frankly, I was not that hyped on the Eternals as a story when I first heard that it was on the plans, on the drawing board for the next phase of Marvel movies. But knowing that she's the director actually makes me a lot more optimistic about the Eternals than I was.
Well, they could be taking Neil Gaiman's. They could be taking Neil Gaiman's writing on the Eternals. So if that's the case, then they have one of the best comic book writers ever writing, basically storyboarding the movie. So,
yeah, I mean, I think if your creative team is Neil Gaiman and Chloe Zhao, then I'm all for that.
I think it works good with the Eternals too. If you actually read the premise of the Eternals, like seeing what she did in Nomadland, like it's perfect. I mean, she's a completely different film director, but I think it'll be a really nice fresh take on what they're trying to do. I don't know if she's experienced enough. She doesn't really have a lot under her belt, but I think this could be her chance to really come out in the spotlight. I mean, Marvel's got big bucks, so I think this will be really good for her career, all in all. If she knocks this out of the park, it's going to be a long running thing.
Yeah.
Well, Jon Favreau, for instance, he had no experience with Iron Man, and then when they brought him on, look what that started. So Marvel has a knack for bringing people in who don't typically direct these types of movies, and them coming out really, really good.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying.
Marvel has a
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Whoa. Raul first, then you can.
Marvel has a knack for picking up talent that is on the cusp of being discovered. Chadwick Boseman is another example. He was on the cusp of being discovered by big Hollywood, and they picked him up first, and so forth and so forth. So they've made some bold choices, but they've paid off for them.
Yeah, for the most part. Ross, you were going to add?
I said Guardians of the Galaxy.
James Gunn had done Slither, though. That same kind of comedy was in Guardians of the Galaxy. It just went from horror comedy to action comedy.
Yeah, but James Gunn also said that he was a big Guardians fan long before he directed it. I mean,
he was one of the few who knew about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I mean, the talent that they pick up, though, they just have an eye for knowing who's going to do something interesting with the properties. Because the changes that Marvel makes are actually sometimes beneficial to the stories they're trying to tell. And these directors that they pick, especially like Favreau, he nailed that. I mean, looking back, Iron Man 1 is still in my top 5 favorites. I think Marvel has a very keen eye. They see potential in people that other companies will pass up. And I think that this is kind of a smart move. This also is a big boost for her career to do other things.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting theory on how Marvel does that, because there's a in some ways for a Marvel movie you run a bigger risk getting a super established director because they're used to being completely in charge, and Marvel doesn't play that way. They want someone who brings some fresh creative takes, but also understands. Yeah, that can play ball with the bigger picture of Marvel.
Sorry, Carlos. Case in point on that one, I said big name director Shane Black with Iron Man 3. That got lambasted with how he took that movie in that direction versus Favreau when he did Iron Man 1 and 2. It's like you said, that fresh take. Shane Black came in, a well-known writer, well-known director, and it kind of faltered.
Are you talking about 2? Well, I mean, 3 was great.
No. 2 was great. 3 was not Iron Man. That's the name of the movie, right? Not Iron Man? Because he was not Iron Man the entire movie?
Pretty much.
Iron Man 2 sucked, dude.
Tony Stark
No, it didn't.
In or out of the suit.
No,
but I'm saying though, like, okay, so take Iron Man with Jon Favreau, like you said, new fresh take. Favreau pulled it off. Yeah. You get the director who's always in control, Shane Black. I will put Iron Man above Iron Man 3 any day of the week.
Oh, Iron Man 1 for sure. I mean, no question there. But I would not put Iron Man 2 in front of Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 2 was not as good, but it was better than 3. Anything was better than 3.
Carlos, you're going to lose this one.
Iron Man 3. In the pantheon of the MCU, Iron Man 3, for the title of shittiest film, is only bested by Thor: Dark World.
Dark World.
I actually
I can't disagree with you on that one, but
I actually like Thor: Dark World. It was directed by Kenneth Brogdon, by the way.
I still have not finished watching that movie. I can't get through
it. You can like it, but it's still going to be the worst Marvel movie.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'm used to that sort of opinion.
Oh, I hate the Dark World, but I don't hate it as much as Iron Man 3.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 is
Why do you guys hate Iron Man 3?
Because it's shit.
Because the guy doesn't
okay, you need to be more specific in your complaints. Okay, Otherwise, you sound like a disco hater.
Okay.
You guys are telling me you didn't like Trevor? Trevor made that film.
You know what I mean?
The entire movie is let's get Iron Man out of the Iron Man suit. And so the whole movie is him not being Iron Man. And it's
if you think Iron Man is just the suit, then you're missing the point.
But that's the point, Carlos, is I think that's what the director was trying to go for, but people aren't going to see an Iron Man movie without an iron suit somewhere.
Except they did. Iron Man 3 made twice as much money as Iron Man 2.
You're right. No, that's because Avengers had just
Avengers had already come out.
And there were about 30 different Iron Man suits in that movie.
Yeah. But here.
But they were all robots. They were all the precursor to Ultron. Yeah, that's all that was.
Some of them were War Machine.
One Iron Patriot, actually.
Right. Iron Patriot.
If I may, you said the whole thing about Iron Man being out of the suit. Iron Man, Tony Stark has been billed as the billionaire playboy philanthropist. Iron Man, that is him. Iron Man is the suit. He is not Batman. Batman has been portrayed as a detective. Iron Man is not a detective. That's what Shane Black was going for. Is like he can be. We've never known Tony Stark to be a detective. We know Bruce Wayne to be a detective. So that's what Shane Black was going for. And it kind of that for me, that's why I got too much of like a comedic Batman wearing an iron suit feel versus actual Iron Man.
Except Iron Man has always been comedic.
I also have the hot take that Batman is the personality and Bruce Wayne is the cover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, that's actually true.
I don't even want to hear the detective aspect with Batman. Batman hasn't done detective work in the movies since the 1960s. Come on, guys.
Robert Pattinson is going to
be no. About that.
No,
I think them not dealing with Batman as the world's greatest detective anymore. Has been
Michael
mistakes.
Keaton Batman was a detective.
Yes,
he was. Yeah,
but that was Keaton, about it.
Yeah,
he figured out how to counteract poison makeup. That was his big detective culture.
We got Robert Pattinson coming out soon.
Well, we'll see.
Come to think of it, the Christian Bale Batman was essentially him being Iron Man.
Him being Iron Man.
I actually hate that Ross said that because now I'm not.
I am Iron Man.
You've now broken it for him, Ross.
Swear to me.
Okay, whatever.
And not to mention, we get Tom.
I get that many of you hate Iron Man 3, but the people believe otherwise.
And in The Dark Knight Rises, we get Tom Hardy ruining yet another
franchise. A perfect Bane. Tom Hardy is a perfect Bane.
I thought he was great as Bane, honestly.
I thought he was okay as Bane.
He is an excellent Bane. He is a perfectly fine Bane.
I really recommend everybody go watch the College Humor.
power from the wealthy and bring it back to you, the people.
Go back
hold
and
on.
watch
The people.
the College Humor Batman Bane conversation, and Tom Hardy. Yeah,
Is that the College Humor one? Is that the one with Patton Oswalt, or is that a different one?
I think it's a different one.
Okay.
It's the one where him and Talia, Talia stabs him, and he gets
The
he
darkness
gets really,
is your ally.
Carlos, you know
merely
what?
How
adopted
would you
the
listen to
darkness.
Ross do that all night?
I was born into it.
Carlos, you know what's funny? That with your whole thing of liking Iron Man 3, Robert Pattinson's Batman, where he's playing detective for once,
Mhm.
do you understand that that's going to be a better Iron Man 3 film than Iron Man 3 was?
Ouch.
We'll have to see about that. We'll have to see about that. We
Oh,
will return to this.
jeez.
We will return to this
Watch
argument.
The Pornhub. I am the Pornhub.
I'm with Carlos on this one, guys.
they
Thank
took
you,
the
Ross.
best. No, wait. Let's talk
Holy
about the
shit.
cardinal sin of Iron Man 3. You take the main rogue or the main bad of Iron Man, the Mandarin, and you make him a pansy ass actor supported by some billionaire who's
You
just
leave
trying
Trevor out
to.
of this.
Yeah. It was awful.
Although
Yeah, but
apparently
it was
we're supposed to
it's
see-
a
We're supposed to
misdirect.
see the Mandarin. We're supposed to see the Mandarin again in
The
what
real
movie?
man, Shang-Chi.
The
And
real
yes.
Mandarin, though.
Yes, the real Mandarin. So it's
But the
fun.
Mandarin
I
is
thought
supposed
that
to
was
be
a
Iron
wonderful
Man's greatest
misdirect.
villain.
I'm still holding out hope that Trevor will actually cameo in Shang-Chi. Like, that'll be a funny thing that he's an actual prisoner of the Mandarin. I really hope that they do something with that.
Yeah, but we're not going to have another Iron Man. I mean,
And they had the best actor in the world to play the Mandarin, and they pissed it away.
Yes, they
Ben
did.
Kingsley, Oscar Award winner.
I thought it was
Sarah
a
Ben Kingsley.
wonderful subversion of a trope.
No, okay, I'll give you that. The
Agreed.
subversion could have worked if it turned out that Ben Kingsley was the real Mandarin and not Guy Pearce's character.
But then there
I
wouldn't
can
have been a
do that.
misdirect.
It would have been that Ben Kingsley would have been the one pulling the strings versus Guy Pearce. That Ben Kingsley was the real Mandarin and Guy Pearce was his puppet versus the other way around.
If I want to watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie,
But
I'll
then
go
there
watch
would
The
have been
Sixth
no
Sense.
misdirect.
No, sorry. I think Ross and me and the people of the world think you're wrong.
Who are these people?
Oh.
I have, other than you and
The
Ross,
people
I've
who
never,
shelled out $1.6 billion.
but
Yeah,
just
but
the-
this movie.
that's
One
because
point
how
three.
much did how much
just came out.
623
how much
million.
how much did
Avengers
how much
just
did
came out, Carlos?
What?
Avengers just came out before Iron
Yeah,
Man.
they got
The
their
hype was
palette
real.
with Avengers.
The
I
hype
mean,
was big. The hype was super big.
how
For
much
more-
money did Avatar make?
2.7.
Hey,
This is-
Carlos,
I don't see your
have you
point.
and I crossed into an alternate dimension? Because suddenly we're the contrarians.
I guess so. Although Sun hasn't
yeah,
said a
no
word.
kidding.
so-
What the
We're
hell's
in
going
this
on
Very
here?
weird timeline if I am being the contrarian.
It's true.
I think hell froze over or something, or did someone what's going on here?
I think this is an opportune moment for a Sun quip.
There it comes.
Don't let us down.
That was perfect. That was so perfect.
That was absolutely perfect. Okay.
Love it.
All right. Well, let's see. Folks at home, feel free to weigh in on the Iron Man 2 versus Iron Man 3 controversy, or otherwise known as Ross and I are right and everybody else is wrong. Oh, right. And
Bullshit.
Man,
the world.
I actually agree with you, Ross.
Oh, okay.
Wait,
And
what?
Justin. Oh, we're Justin.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ross. So, yeah.
I think it's a fun
yeah.
movie, while I found Iron Man 2 really tedious.
Yeah,
I find you really
I-
tedious. How about that?
You know what? Iron Man 2
Your
had
face is tedious.
Your face
Iron
is
Man 2.
tedious.
Iron Man 2 had the scene
what's boring?
where he's he's in that Senate panel, right? And Gary Shandling is the senator questioning him, and he just totally
that scene. I did.
that was like
Yeah,
brilliant.
fun.
Like,
No, that was a good scene. I agree
and
with
then
that.
we find out Gary
Iron Man
Shanley is a
had
Hydra
fun
character.
parts. That's about it.
One at a time.
Let him
guys.
finish. Let him finish. Go ahead and finish, Fosse.
And then we find out the Gary Shanley, and then like that builds in the Gary Shanley character. We find out later on he's really Hydra, and you know
Hydra.
nothing in Iron Man 3 really pays off, other than like the idea of like Ultron pays off later in the MCU really, whereas a lot of stuff gets set up in Iron Man 2 that plays off in the MCU. Romanov.
Yeah, no, I mean there are things that pay off, sure, but the film on its own just isn't a very great film. You know?
And three is
It felt like let's use this sequel to set up all these other movies, and oops, I guess we forgot to make this one actually interesting.
I still feel like
Let's
Iron Man
I'm
3 was
poking
created
you in the
just
eye there,
after we
Fosse.
moved.
Say that again, Raina, I'm sorry.
I said I feel like Iron Man 3 was just created so he could have the arc reactor removed from his chest.
Right.
The 2-hour movie it took to get to that moment.
That's a big red herring.
Just saying.
It was proof Tony Stark had
Subversion
a
of
heart.
Expectations.
Proof Tony Stark
Like I
had
said,
a heart.
if I want to watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie, I'll watch The Sixth Sense or The Village. The Village had a better twist than Iron Man.
Signs had a better twist than Iron Man.
Debbie Does
Have a
Dallas
bigger
had a
twist,
better
man.
twist than Iron Man.
Okay, I think we've beaten that horse beyond death. It's now hamburger. Okay, so let's go to the next big Marvel announcement, in which a woman, Chinaka Hodge, has been tapped as, speaking of Iron Man, has been tapped as the head writer for the forthcoming Ironheart series on Disney Plus.
And the comics are flying off the shelves, by the way.
Was that happening before or since they?
No, when the rumor happened, her first appearance flew off the shelf. You can't get it anywhere. It's just it's outrageous. They're called, in comic collecting circles, they're called keys, and that means that they're keys to bigger properties that are going to happen later. And her first appearance and her first miniseries by herself, number 1 and number 1. Are just flying off the shelves. That you can't keep them in stock.
Wow, well that's interesting. An interesting premise. She is, I forget what's the name of her secret identity.
Riri.
Right, Riri.
Riri Williams,
an MIT student who is also brilliant. She reverse engineers the Iron Man suit to create her own, and you know, chaos ensues. I think it looks great. I only looked at the first comic, which I enjoyed, but I think it's going to be a great series on Disney Plus. I think it's a perfect thing, frankly, for a Disney Plus series. Thoughts?
Bring back Ty Simpkins as Iron Man.
Perfect way to bring Iron Man back into the fold, or Iron Woman in this case.
Who said the thing about Ty Simpkins? That was you. There's a theory that could happen. That's why he was present at Iron Man's funeral.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to the Ironheart series. That'll be a good one for Disney Plus.
And
I'm
the
very
thing,
much
right,
looking forward to Ironheart.
What do you guys think? Why is the premise so interesting to you?
For me, it's interesting because there's a delay on my feed, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
A little bit, yeah.
About a second.
Okay. That's weird. I tried restarting, but it's still there. Anyway, I'm really excited about Ironheart because, like I've said before, passing the torch between one character to another is incredibly important to me in storytelling, and especially when it's done well. And in the comics, it's done fairly well with Riri and Stark because at the time, Tony Stark was she picked up the mantle, made her own suit, and was mentored by the disembodied semi-AI consciousness of Stark. Mm-hmm. And if they manage this transition as well as they did as Anthony Mackie becoming Captain America, I'm very excited to see what they do. A new perspective, not just a new character becoming the new Iron Man. Ironheart, she's a young black woman who builds her own suit, who is just as brilliant as Tony Stark. That's huge to me. This is so many different perspectives that we haven't had before. I mean, Tony Stark, he's a heterosexual CIS white guy, genius, inserts ego here, but here we have something different, something new, something that can break the kind of ground that we in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I'm there's so many possibilities.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
also the fact that her being young and an MIT student, it presents technology as the hero again. For Stark, technology was always the problem, or it got out of his control. It turned into weapons. It turned into weapons platforms. It turned into a danger to alien sources. So to see it go back into the idea of technology as the answer and a young, fresh perspective on that, I feel it's going to be very strong.
All right.
I really just hope they rewrite the entire backstory for Riri, because it's not something to be proud of at this point.
Say more.
Her first couple of appearances before her comic even started. Her first appearances in the Marvel comics, and this is according to other comic book nerds, is that she literally beats up a bad guy and then claims literally an entire country as her own.
How does that work?
I don't know. I don't know, but that's
I'm pretty sure they're going to skip that.
Yeah.
I think that's not good. It's going to be
yeah.
right.
I was
Marvel
gonna say-
Studios. Go ahead, Rena. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, I think it's great that they're doing this because, as we saw with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think that with the diversity in the world and stuff, it's time to start tapping into these stories. And the one good thing about having a character that's young, I always admire that with young heroes like Spider-Man and stuff. Character like this, they're young, they're naive, they're going to make mistakes, and I like that the hero's journey is about overcoming something. And you know that they're going to come up with something clever, as they have with these other shows. Wanda had to come over something, Sam had to come over something, Bucky had to come over something. Those stories are compelling. Coming over adversity from others and triumphing over a world that's technically against you in a lot of avenues. I think that this is a great character for that type of catalyst to tell that tale. And not to mention it's setting up something bigger. I think these Marvel shows have really proven themselves worthy. Some of them even more than movies, I think, at this point, because I think that they really have something special going on here. And this is a character that I don't know a lot about. I haven't read the comics. It's more from outside, but I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with it.
Same.
All right. Well, it looks like it will be interesting. Do we have an expected release date for Ironheart on Disney Plus? Did they mention that anywhere you guys saw?
I didn't see anything about it, or at least not a release date.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see how long we have to wait.
Oh yeah, no, it's comic.
Okay. All right. So let's pick up on remaining threads from. We had a bit of a debate on this in our Super Geeks group chat on the topic of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and its portrayal of who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, and the idea that in some ways it has one of the darkest endings we've ever seen in a Marvel cinematic universe story. The premise of an article in Inverse this week was talking about the role of the Flag Smashers and some theories that actually their story got kind of muddled because one of the things they were supposed to be doing apparently was they were building up to this big sort of pandemic / vaccine related sort of terrorist act. And of course they had to change that because of what was going on in the real world, and that, trying to piece together some kind of story with that cut out led to a somewhat kind of muddled presentation of the ethics and agenda of this Flag Smasher group. And the inverse article goes so far as to say that they compare the Flag Smashers to Antifa and as left-wing terrorists, and they're not sure that really worked. So how did you guys feel about that now that we've had a week to process what we saw in that finale?
Son?
Did they not see Endgame?
Right?
The bad guys literally won that one. Half of all life extinguished across of all existence.
You mean
And somehow
Infinity War?
this
Infinity
is
War.
darker.
That's Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Well,
thank
no,
you.
I mean,
this
the
is
inverse
darker?
one says it's the darkest since apart from Infinity War.
I think that the show, the ending, has a lot of hope to it. We had this debate in our group chat, and the things that I was calling out was, no matter what, somebody was being displaced, right? This wasn't an easy thing. You had half the world completely gone, and so the world shuffled to make him to adjust and kind of had to deal with that. And for the people who stayed behind and the people who were left behind, there was less resources being used. There were, so for them, I can understand why, if you went from being, in a third world nation where you're living in a village, now you're living in a city, you're having government services and things like that. Life really changes. And then in the snap of Hulk's fingers, someone shows up in your house saying, "What? This is my house." Right? And imagine you're the guy who gets snapped back into existence. You show up in your house and there's this other family here. Your everything's gone. So no matter what, somebody was being displaced. For the Flag Smashers, they were focusing on the people that were being displaced in the moment. The GEC or whatever was focusing on how do we help the people who were displaced by the snap and are now back.
Reverse.
And so, huh?
Reverse. The Flag Smashers were focusing in on the people who came back from the blip.
No. The Flag Smashers were focusing on the people who were resettled because of the snap, right? So people were resettled. There was free flow of immigration, So for the Flag Smashers, they were going in. The people who they went in and they started inhabiting these nice houses, and then the people who were brought back into existence because of the blip, the Flag Smashers were being displaced to make room for the people who were returning.
I did not get that impression.
One world, one people was their slogan, meaning that
they wanted things to go back to the way
that everyone who
during the blip.
Right, they wanted, the Flag Smashers didn't want to have to be forced to go back to wherever they came before the snap.
Well, that wasn't the only thing that they were fighting
Flag
for,
Smashers
though.
were definitely post blip.
No, they're post blip, but
the Flag Smashers came to be after the blip, yes, but that's because they were the survivors of the blip. They were the people who were left behind.
Right.
They were the ones who came together to unite amid this new hardship to make the world work again after watching half of all life evaporate. That's not just people. That's plants, animals, crops. You're talking about an enormous sudden shortage of natural resources that everyone is having to deal with. The entire world came together to deal with these problems, both regular people and the heroes. So they were used to there were no from what we got in this story, there were no they took out all boundaries. They took down borders. The lines that divided people evaporated, and that's what they were fighting for. One world, one people. They were trying to get back to that. The people who came back and the GRC that was established was trying to reinstate borders, to re-divide people. And from what we saw in the GRC meetings, they didn't even, at least some people in that meeting, didn't even really care about those people. They just wanted to shove them out of the way and get people who wanted to go back to normal to get back to normal to the way things were before the blip.
Yeah, I think the idea with Carly Morgenthau basically was saying that the GRC cared more about the people who left and then came back than they were about the people who had to actually pick up the pieces. Yes,
No.
I just read this in the wiki, dude.
Read the fandom put thing. The wiki I just put up for Flashback.
I'm reading the wiki right now, and it says Carly Morgenthau believed the GRC cared more about the people who were snapped than the ones who survived and had to live through the 5 years of turmoil.
Yeah,
that's
but
exactly
she actually
what I just said.
But that's exactly what she was saying. I mean, that's why her rage was escalating. The more and more that government organization kept interfering and kept, slowing her down. That was the whole crux of her argument. And she liked it when the snap happened because the walls came down. Everyone was working together because that's what they had. They had each other.
They had to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was peace because, well, let's be honest, nobody was fighting out what was left. They were trying to fix what was there. They had to pick up the pieces of the people that were gone. And then it's kind of like a not appreciation for those who were there keeping the world going when this government organization shifted their help towards people that were displaced. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing is there was no winners in this show.
Right.
That's what made it so dark, in my opinion. There was no winners because even with Sam's monologue and stuff, everybody knows that, like, with Madam Hydra hanging around and stuff, government is corrupt. Now you got Sharon Carter in there that's selling secrets and things. That's the real dark ending of it, is we're going back into a Hydra-style people within the government using it for their own intentions. That's the dark ending of it, is that even with everything that had happened, characters grew, but at the end of the day, the world still was bad in a sense.
Well, I mean, I think that's true regardless. The world is always going to be bad. You're always going to have bad actors. You're always going to have people who are pushing. But the hope that I find in the finale is that the GRC, who was ready to go ahead and just unilaterally make a decision to benefit one group over the other, paused and said, this problem is more complex than just that, right? It's more complex than just giving people back their stuff, right? That's not to say that those people don't deserve their stuff back, but the problem isn't going to be solved by that, because that's going to create a whole host of other problems. I mean, and it was the realization that we need to slow down, really look at the problem, and try to solve the root of the problem instead of just doing the popular vote thing. So much of our politics is built around let's do what's expedient politically, not what's in the best interest of everybody. And Sam at the end, whether it's through, just who he is, and it proves why he's the obvious successor to Captain America. He's the moral center, and he says, listen, Carly was wrong for killing people. Carly was wrong for using violence. We should never stoop to violence for political means. But her political issues are valid, and you're cowards by ignoring that. And that's when they said,
calling them terrorists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you label people like that, you can dehumanize them. I had this discussion on the Facebook group as well this past week, that the reason he said stop calling them terrorists wasn't because they weren't being terrorists. They absolutely were. But once you give someone a label like terrorist, you are giving people permission to stop caring about them and stop seeing them as people with real issues and real problems that need to be addressed.
Yes.
But, yeah, and I think that's the whole point with Sam, is that it's not that he's fixing things per se, like, because you can't truly fix everything, but he's giving people hope. The same hope that Steve Rogers gave, that there's some light, that there's someone who cares. Steve Rogers helped people for the sake of helping people. There was no gain in it for him. And I think that's what they were trying to convey, and I think they did it well. I think that if you were going to say there was a dark ending, it's just the fact that you see these heroes struggling to fight to make the world better, and we see how stubborn parts of the world still are. And to the issues related.
Yeah,
I think it's not that it's a dark ending, it's just a realization that, even with heroes, that's what our world is. We have to make the decision to be better than, what we're expected to be. And I think that a lot of people don't.
Right, and it's
there was
important.
never any indication that Val was part of the government, was there?
Yeah, well,
a little bit, because that
was
last
pretty-
scene between her and John Walker is in a congressional hearing room.
True, but that doesn't mean she's a part of the government.
Well, it's not clear, but there's a reason. They didn't just put it there for randomly. So I think there's
more to it.
No, there's definitely more to it, but I don't think it's there by accident, is what I'm saying. And that, and if you're going to be calling him U.S. agent now, it speaks to something quasi-official, semi-official, in terms of what he's doing with the government. And
As official as Captain America.
Well, no, Captain America was, which one are you talking about, Sam or Steve?
They act on their own.
Yeah, they act on their own. But Sam, I think technically he is still an Air Force officer, right?
He's still an Air Force officer. He has not been relieved of duty.
Right.
He was working with the Air Force, but as far as I know,
I thought Rhodey was Air Force. I didn't know Sam was Air Force. I thought he was retired or just counseling.
No, well, yeah, but
Sam was Army. Rhodey is Air Force.
Okay.
I think Sam's not active duty. He left after his partner was killed.
Okay, I thought they made a reference to him still being part of the military in this series, but I could be wrong about that.
He was working with them, but he wasn't directly employed.
It was like how Bucky was. They were almost contracted out, called when needed kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like they were actually employed per se. Because I think that's what they were implying with Bucky too, is that they basically just called him in when they needed him kind of thing. It's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah.
Because I think his therapist was an actual government employee.
Yes.
That was her job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
it was one of the conditions of his pardon.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's another great thing that they tackled is
Private military contract
was a great catalyst for the change of the world and how it was. You could see where he came from a different time, and I think that it works so well because our political climate is so different. Our world is so different than it was back then. And I think having him kind of like a fish out of water, like every scene, being an old man in every scene, is just fantastic. It just works well because it's like he's seeing the world through fresh eyes too. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Well, in a lot of ways, Bucky is our viewpoint character for the entire series of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
You think? I don't know. I mean, how we're not 116 years old, so why is it?
Can you really say that, Carlos?
Even I can say that.
I think the biggest issue that I had with the article itself was that the way specifically Jason talked about I do not remember names for the life of me, but the guy who's going to become U.S. agent.
John Walker.
Walker.
The article itself says that that basically says that is this guy really redeemed because he saved people one time? And it's like, well, no, but it's a road. Just because he becomes the U.S. agent doesn't mean he has to be the U.S. agent in the comic books. I mean, look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Some major shit's been changed compared to the comic books.
I give
the good guys.
I give the same argument to John Walker that I give Peter, and I'm probably going to be the only one who defends him when he punched Thanos. It's a very human reaction to the things they've been through, and he's a soldier that's been put through hell. Imagine being trained your whole life to be the best at what you do, to do this job and to serve your country, only to do said job, have traumatic stuff happen to you, and then be cast aside when it's negatively negatively impacting the government you represent. And
My heart broke for John in that scene.
I gotta
know
be
what
honest.
it feels like.
I changed
think
with
it's a
Ross's opinion, actually, because I actually did not like John Walker. And then when he redeemed himself, I actually had the biggest relief through the whole show. I had what Ross did. I was like, come on, just save those people. Don't do this. Even I was like, and I couldn't stand him when he turned.
I warn you right now not to get too attached to John Walker because his road is a long road to redemption. And U.S. Agent was used for a lot of ill means in the comic books.
Here's the deal. I mean, and this is why I don't like the inverse article, and it's going to build off of what Sun said. We live in an age where everything is political, and our political adversaries or the people who have different political opinions than we do are not treated as people with a different perspective on how government should work and function and operate. We are now being cultivated to believe that they are just the enemy. They are the worst. If you are on the left, you see the right as literal Nazis. People who want to round people up and throw them in concentration camps and exterminate them and all that. If you're on the right, you're trained to believe that the people on the left are literally Stalin looking to starve millions of people. That's the path we're going down, and that's the problem with the way that's what we saw in this clash in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. People were unable to have empathy and humanize people with differing opinions, because in their minds, the people with differing opinions weren't coming at a problem with a different perspective. They were coming at a problem just because they were evil. And the inverse article takes that really reductive, really simplistic view of politics and applies it to this show. And I think that's the article's biggest mistake.
Well, and at the same time, we have the character of Baron Zemo, who was a literal Nazi character in the Marvel Universe, a Hydra agent, and he was somehow redeemed in the eyes of the fandom throughout the show. So it's kind of ironic that people won't forgive certain characters, but they'll forgive other characters depending.
I kind of on that one for the Zemo, I kind of forgive him in a way. He wasn't evil in the sense was how Wanda was dealing with grief. He was dealing with grief too. His family was killed by the Avengers inadvertently in the battle for Sokovia. And if you look at it, like the stories that were published, he was ready to meet his death twice. He was going to kill himself the first time Black Panther stopped him. He was when Bucky pulled the gun on him, you saw his face is like, finally I can die. But then Bucky goes and just drops the bullets like, I'm not going to kill you. So he was ready to die twice he knew what he did was wrong, but he was still out for vengeance. So he made peace with it. And for me, that redeemed him in the sense that he's ready to accept the punishment that was going to come for him.
Yeah, but I think that... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Zemo also had a compelling reason. Everybody in this series had a very compelling and relatable reason to do the things they do. He was dramatically and vehemently opposed to super soldiers because of what they represented to him. That, to quote Star Trek, superior ability breeds superior arrogance.
Yeah.
Or a superior ambition. There we go. And he feared what that would mean for unenhanced human beings. So he wanted to destroy any and all chance of other people being enhanced in that way. And he won.
I mean, Zemo... Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Brandon. Sorry.
I was going to say that this whole thing about it being political, that's the point, though, is you have the GRC that can't see it from the perspective of the Flag Smashers. The Flag Smashers can't see it from the perspective of the GRC. You have two sides that are always going to clash because they can't see it and what the cost is on both sides. It wasn't like one side was just not paying the tab. There was a cost to both sides playing their role. And Zemo was right. the GRC, the Flag Smashers, the Captain America, they're all icons. They're symbols, and that's what they were. As the symbol became more, it became more about the symbol than the people that they were representing. And that's exactly what we saw. Carly's decline, as Zemo called it, is she literally she just had enough. And the GRC was upping their game to stop her way past the level that they should have. And I think Zemo, for as much as they label him as the inherent bad, no, it was just that he predicted everything that was going to happen because he's been in that position.
Right. And
I'm sorry.
I was like, that doesn't justify his actions. That doesn't justify him
no.
killing T'Challa or anything. But I
don't think anyone says that.
Yeah, no, but it does. Again, what this series has done, what WandaVision's done, is it and even like Discovery with Osira, we're seeing a new age of storytelling where even though the viewpoint of the antagonist, or the viewpoint of the I want to say villain, but the viewpoint of the
antagonist,
but is being explored more thoroughly, and is causing for richer stories. And I hope the parable, right, the insistent failure of team sports, right, as it relates to politics, and in this story, bears out. And I hope people start to, for some whatever reason, Inverse feels like this was like poo-pooing on Antifa, but if you're using tactics that aren't right, there's a room that we have to stop that. We have to get to a point to where we listen to one another and we converse with one another. And that's what Sam did. And that's the hope I found in the end of the series, is that Sam spoke and people were willing to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm on board with what you're saying, is that I think we're seeing a richer kind of storytelling that we're moving into, an era we're moving into, in which, it's not just protagonist overcomes antagonist. It's also that, protagonist is changed by antagonist. Sam didn't think he was worthy of the shield. He did, he's disillusioned in, his own sort of future that way, and in the government and everything else. And that was only compounded by his, meeting Isaiah Bradley. But because of Carly, he changed. He went beyond kind of the bitterness of Isaiah and realized that his role is to be that agent of change in a way that Carly could never be. But that doesn't mean that she was wrong in her principles. She was wrong in her execution.
Well, it's exactly like what we say about Thanos. We get what he's saying, and to some degree we agree. It's the method that you go about it, though. See, Carly, in fact, to me, despite all the bad that the Flag Smashers were doing, they really weren't that bad in the beginning of the series. Don't get me wrong, they were bad, but not to the level. They escalated, and that was the whole point.
It's very Robin Hood at first.
Exactly.
Yeah, on that point, if you look at the series of Flag Smashers, then none of them wanted to kill. Carly's the one who actually started the killing. When they blew up that building, she's like, "Get your seatbelt on," and the building blows and kills all the cops. That guy is freaking out, like, "What are you doing? That's not our message we want to send." And then that's when she comes up with a line like, "This is the only language they will speak." So she started the killing while her other comrades in this didn't want to kill. They wanted to send their message.
Really saw that in the finale too, when when she's trying to like rally her troops and she goes, "One world," and like nobody says anything.
They all hesitate,
you know, and she's like, "No, one world." And then they weakly sort of like, "One people." So I think that's definitely the dynamic they were trying to play.
But I think that goes hand in hand. Like what I keep saying about Zemo, though, is once again, it's a symbol. She thought, like all those people that she was representing, that she became bigger than what she was fighting for originally. That's what happened to everyone. John Walker and the Flag Smashers and the GRC. They all rose above what they swore to protect. They let that symbol get in their head. Carly let all those people that were following her get in her head.
And that's what John Walker did too.
Right, but
and that's what I'm
that
saying.
was
And
my
I think
point.
that's where Zemo, he's not a good guy. That's the thing. Nobody was ever redeeming Zemo in that regard. But
yeah, I don't think he's redeemed by any
no,
means.
but I think the fact that he took his punishment,
Yep.
and he's even still doing bad from prison. But the fact is that he called it exactly. He predicted the end of the show before it even happened. He said, "There's no way you can save her. She's escalating." And that moment that she pulled the gun on Sam, that was the moment you knew that he was right. That she wasn't going to come down, and she let that. It defined her life. That message.
Right.
But my
Well, I
point originally was that people are looking at Zemo and saying, "Oh," and people are looking at the Flag Smashers and going, "Oh, Antifa." You know, that sort of reaction. That why are they willing to forgive Zemo and not willing to forgive other actors in the plot?
Is that what happened though? I mean,
I think so.
I don't feel that way about the Flag Smashers. I feel
I
feel like it was a tragic.
I don't think any of us do, but this inverse article did not happen in a bubble, and they got plenty of support when they put out their message. So it's not that we support it or a lot of us that we know support it, but there is support for it.
Yeah,
so,
but
I think
one of the reactions I saw.
Go ahead, Ross, first.
One of the reactions I saw in the Facebook group, one guy who was complaining about both Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision boiled it down to simply, "I'm grumpy because I want free stuff."
Grouchy.
Yeah.
Because you have to pay to watch it? Is that the idea?
No. He was saying that he was just in describing both Wanda and the Flag Smashers.
He was calling Carly and Wanda grouchy women in response to how they handle things. And so Ross and I are like, really, dude?
Kind of missing the point a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot.
No, I understood the point. They're just grumpy because they want free stuff.
And actually, looking at this article, it just seems like they never watched Civil War because Zemo is not he's not some redeemable character. No, if you watch Civil War, he is beyond redemption. Right. The whole point is, though, he's the comedic relief of that team. I don't care what anybody says. Sam and Bucky, he set up those humorous moments. That's what his purpose was.
I also don't think you can compare the actions of one individual to a group of people operating in concert, right? So I don't think it's fair to say, people were like, "Oh, Zemo." Yeah, I think that they did a lot to make Zemo's character feel to have more of a connection to his character. Because, listen, after watching Winter Soldier or Civil War, there's no way you like this guy. This guy is evil. This is the guy who caused Tony Stark's dad to die, right? There's no redeeming that. But I think for his role in this particular 8 episodes, the writers decided to use humor as a way to soften the character long enough so that you're not wanting to punch your television all eight hours you're watching it. But I don't think it's fair to compare.
If he's gonna spend a long amount of time with the two protagonists, he needs to be in a role where he's not their antagonist, primarily.
Yep.
So you have to use some devices to make him still someone that they're not friends with, but that they can work with.
The interjection of John Walker into the plot at precisely that time, where they would maybe focus on Zemo, was actually masterful, because it took your attention away from other characters and focused it on John Walker and Battlestar.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say that for all of you guys reviewing these episodes for all this time, the way you guys have talked about this series has made it seem that Zemo was a character that didn't even really exist until the last 2 episodes. I'll be honest, because y'all didn't talk about this character all that much.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you would talk about it here and there, but it wasn't really some big important thing.
Zemo was only important in that he presented the.
He started off as a plot device. That's the thing. And
Right.
so we treated him like a plot device for a good chunk of the series.
He was a MacGuffin.
Yeah, well, exactly. And he grew into something more that was closer in sync with the protagonists of the show. But then also by the end, moves solidly back into antagonist territory. And so we see him definitely going through an arc throughout the series and becoming, in some ways, of increasing importance as the series progressed.
Okay, well, my point is that with you guys talking about it for these past weeks, it makes it seem like, at least from my perspective, because I haven't watched it yet, that this was a character that was just there to pipe in and say, hey, this is how things are going, kind of like the little angel and demon thing going on, right? This is how things are going. This is what you can do. This is what you can kind of do, and it'll be evil, but you can still do it. And then out of all of this, it's like, why do people say this is a redeemable, or this character is being redeemed? It's like, I thought this character was a nothing character.
Well, this is the thing with Zemo. He's not.
Remember, it's only 6 episodes, son. So he's only been in the show for 3 episodes, basically as a full-time character. So
where Zemo becomes deeper, and this is what I actually just had this discussion yesterday. What makes him important is he started as a plot device, but then he escalated to putting the seeds in place for that final conflict.
Yeah.
He put a little bit of information in John Walker's head, a little bit in Bucky's head, a little bit in Sam's head. And it kind of... A little
bit in Carly's head. Don't forget Carly, too.
Exactly. Those thoughts had just festered and festered among all these characters. Even Sam, he had a moment of doubt thinking about what Zemo said. Bucky obviously was set back by this stuff. I think he was great because it was like he was being so evil, but passively evil. It was just little things he was saying, little things, and he was actually proving how easy it is to doubt one another and to cause those little seeds to build up into something massive, bigger than it was already. He caused the characters that were going dark to go darker. He was causing the characters that were light to doubt themselves.
Right, and that's exactly what he did in Civil War.
Exactly. That's what he's good at. He's a master of manipulation.
Then why are there people who think he's redeemable?
Because he dances well.
Hey, that means
And I'm not sure that people. I mean, I'm sure maybe
because suddenly you can relate to him. Suddenly you can see him as something.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, Ross. I think you're right about that. It's not about him being redeemable. He did some things that are unforgivable, but you do get to understand him better. You do get to see him as a human being still.
Right.
And so that's not quite redemption, but it's more than just writing him off as a supervillain.
Okay, so I'll jump on the Zemo thing here. I lean more towards redemption for him because unlike the Flag Smashers when he was in Civil War, the immediate first interaction, not immediate first, but we get immediately that he lost his family. Every time we come to a clip of him, he's listening to that voicemail from his wife about his son and this and that. That's what humanizes him right away. And yes, he did kill T'Challa's father, and to start the whole thing of splitting the Avengers, pinning it on Bucky, and so on. Like you said, he's very anti-super soldier. But again, as I said earlier, his goal was to split the Avengers and have, basically end superheroes, if you will. And that's why he was ready to kill himself. He's accepted his punishment. And of course, Black Panther stops him. So then we get him back into Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And he's sitting there. And yeah, he has the ulterior motive, but again, like you said, going home with the super soldier thing, getting rid of them. Of course, like he's doing the whole Inception thing, if you will, putting the ideas in their head with Sam, Carly, and all that. But again, ready to accept his punishment. I feel he's not even villain, but more antagonist in the sense that redemption is more along. I would give him more redemption than I would any of the Flag Smashers. Even when they did hesitate with Carly, it's like that wasn't the redemption. They still followed through with their plan. He sat there and he's just like, his main goal was this whole thing of his injustice towards his family being killed, and then going from the Sokovia Accords, then here we are with the Flag Smashers.
Well, actually, Zemo. Go ahead, buddy.
At the very end, Morgenthau was trying to kill the GRC.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing. At the very end, like, is there no redemption for them? Well, her last act, her final acts were trying to exterminate human life. Her redemption arc was after she was gone, Sam saying, "Whoa, what she did was abhorrently wrong. Her motives were just." And that's
that's what you said earlier.
Yeah.
That's the redemption. That's the redemption that Carly and the Flag Smashers get. You can be right in an argument. You can present the right argument, but if you do the wrong thing, arguing, that doesn't, just because your argument is right or just because your argument is just, that doesn't transfer into that doesn't give you license to do evil acts in the name of that right argument. And I think that's where the inverse article in their comparison with Antifa is, they're trying to justify, sometimes wrong acts because their message is just. And I think with the tension they're feeling, and the reason why they wrote the article the way they did, is because they feel that if your motive is just, if your message is just, then your acts are justifiable.
Well,
sorry, Carlos. Then Zemo was right, wasn't he? Being anti-super soldier.
Yeah, I think the real message of this show was Zemo was right. Except for when it comes to the exceptions, which were Captain America originally, and Sam.
No, but Zemo was still wrong. He's still he may have been right in that we shouldn't have super soldiers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
But the act of killing...
I'm not saying he was right in killing those people.
Yeah.
He was right about the threat that people who put themselves up as saviors actually pose, because more often than not, they don't stay your saviors. They end up becoming your oppressors.
Absolutely.
And that's all too often true. And it's only people like Sam who's an exception to that, who proves that it's not inevitable if you learn, if you keep your mind open, and that's what Sam did. He was willing to listen to Carly. He was willing to let her ideas affect his decisions, even if he ended up needing to have to defeat her. It didn't mean that he believed she was wrong about everything, which is kind of, that's kind of what you said, but
right. And what Sam realized, what Sam and Steve and in a lot of ways, Tony and others, what they realized is that the symbol was bigger than them. They themselves were not the symbol.
Yes.
And see, with Zemo, that's the thing, is he actually did have a heroic action in the show. He did attempt to destroy the super serum, the super soldier serum. I think with him is he's the devil on people's shoulders. He makes people give into the doubts and the fears that they are already experiencing with just a few words. That's what he's good at. He doesn't have any super strength. He doesn't have any potential, really amazing skills. But he is so good at manipulating people. That's the point. Is that little bit of doubt in our head and those things we fear. Like Sam, when he started the show, that's all he did was doubt himself, if you think about it.
Yeah. That's why he was so easily manipulated.
Exactly. I think that's why it worked as good as it did, because Zemo, where he started as a plot device, he became good because he's not a good character. He's not a nice person. He's not a good person. He's not redeemable in a lot of ways, but he was so good to set each character up on a path a lot faster than they should have been. He was using those little things against one another, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, no,
feel
it's why he's a great character.
I feel
Okay, we're going to move on because Raul, you get the last word, but then we're going to move on after that. Go ahead.
I feel it's because he had a dance sequence that everybody redeemed him.
That's what
Well,
I said.
it went a long
That's what
way.
Ross said.
It went a long way. You know, why do you think so many disgraced politicians show up on those dance reality
So you
shows?
think you could dance?
You can dance, right?
Or the other one, the ballroom one. I can't remember
Is
the
this
name.
is this why Babadook became a gay icon?
This is why, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the next bloody item on our list of topics this week, and that is the finale of Invincible on Amazon Prime, based on the graphic novel comic series of the early 2000s. It came to its very violent conclusion this week. Let's do a quick check-in on how many people were able to watch the finale this week. Oh, wow. Justin, you did too, right? Okay, so that's 4 of us. That's pretty good. 5 of us. Okay, so we should probably put up the old spoiler alert, stalwart Justin.
Any minute now.
Any minute.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
All right, thank you. And okay, so in this episode, actually tail end of last episode, we found out the reason behind Invincible, Mark's father, Omni-Man, killing the Guardians of the Globe, and what his actual agenda was on Earth, and what ensued when he shared that with Mark, who of course was not getting behind that agenda very much. And so they end up in this huge battle royale all over the Midwest, ending up in destroying half of Chicago as part of their fight. So for those of you who watched it, what did you think? I mean, beyond just the kind of comic booky plot things, what was this trying to say? And what did Mark learn? What did we learn through Mark?
Fight scenes are brutal in this thing.
They really are.
I had for a cartoon. I mean, they are exceptional. I mean, this tops, I think, the boys in the amount of blood and gore that could be seen in any given episode on the episodic platform.
Yeah, I mean, the boys gets as graphic, but Invincible is like they're doing it so much. Like in one episode, there's so much. Like he literally rips a man in half. And
shoot, that first episode when he kills that the what is it? The Justice what's the name of that team?
The Guardians of the Globe.
That's it. I'm thinking Justice Society in my head, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not it. No, that was like when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I know this is going to be intense just by the language alone. Like this is definitely up from our usual superhero fare. But I saw that, and I think from that moment, I'm like, oh god, I know what I'm getting into, and it's fantastic though. It knows how to make you feel. It knows how to make you hurt, and it knows how to make you question everything that you're seeing. I think the show writers are genius.
Yeah, and despite it being so graphic, it's not gratuitous.
Yeah.
I don't think. Like there's a reason for all that blood. I mean, there are reasons, and you feel like Mark gets beat up by his dad in this episode, and you feel every bruise. Like I mean, it's just like that scene where he's like laying on his back and like his teeth are broken and like there's just blood filling his mouth. Like I felt that. Like I felt pain and like just despair in him. Like he could barely even breathe. Like you could hear whoever did the sound effects on this was amazing because you could hear the gurgling of the blood as he was trying to breathe. And it just made that a very powerful scene. Father versus son. Because we discovered, of course, that the man we thought was a hero actually is like the vanguard of a huge alien takeover of Earth, and that's your dad, Mark.
Spoilers.
Yes, we did the spoiler.
Yes.
Okay, so where it leaves it off is Omni-Man takes off for parts unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. And a visitor comes to Earth. We've seen in one of the previous episodes, who reveals to, he's from the Coalition of Planets, who reveals to Mark that the Viltrumites, his dad is a Viltrumite. He was the vanguard of the invasion. Have never abandoned a world that they had already claimed for their empire, and that's what's happened here. And it's quite likely they're not going to let this just slip by. So boom. Now we know what's happening in season 2 and possibly season 3, which P.S. Amazon has renewed for 2 seasons, which is a pretty extraordinary thing. Like, it's become almost de rigueur now for a second season renewal super quick, but to go in 2 seasons renewal is the new 1 season renewal, I guess. But I think it had a strong first season, so
and earned it. Every episode was fantastic. I don't think there was a bad one in the bunch.
I just hope they don't do some. I hope they keep up the pace with this, because the way they started off the story and the way they've told it so far is just so well done. So I can't wait to see what they got in store for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, there's something about I forget the name of the creator, Richard Kirkman. Is that who it is? One of the things, like, Netflix should hire this guy as a story editor to improve the pacing of a lot of Netflix series, because of course it takes them 3, 4, 5 episodes. But the problem is that it just takes too many episodes to really get to the point of a story. Like, why are we even here? And, they come up with ways to kind of keep you, to drag you along so you don't quit the show. But it's still, from a storytelling perspective, they take a really long time to get to really even set up what the real story is. And this series, I think, did a great job of getting you into it, not dragging you along, not teasing you with things. Like, you get information in every episode that keeps it moving along, and that pace that both Justin and Raina are referring to, it was evident. That's why there wasn't a weak episode in the lot of 8, because they made every episode pay off in some way.
Where Invincible really works too is they always have strong endings teasing what's next.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every episode ends with like a little teaser of what's to come, and it's always interesting. Like, they didn't have a bad teaser at all. Like, they always had like some subtle hint of what's coming or someone coming back. I feel like the show just moves at a pace where it's not too fast, but it's not too slow. The moments that it's like just starting to get slow, then they just hit the gas, and they know how to do it in a way that feels natural. It doesn't feel like it's a forced push through. They explain just enough. They treat the audience like, you're an intelligent person. We're giving you the details. You know what we're talking about. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And not many shows do that, where they'll hang on one single thing that we already know about for 4 or 5 episodes. This show does not do this.
Right. I think it's an example for other series, short series, for that. A great example of what you're talking about, Raina, is that whole sort of montage sequence towards the end of the episode, where they're kind of showing the aftermath of this big fight between Invincible and Omni-Man, but we're seeing it through the eyes of their friends, their family, other people in the world, as they start to pick up the pieces of what this battle really has meant. And Mark is convalescing in a hospital bed, and Omni-Man is gone. So it's just like pretty much the regular folk who are like figuring things out, like what's the world mean now, and all of that. And I felt like they did that super effectively in this show. It has a really strong supporting cast that was able to kind of pick up the ball with the main guy out for as many minutes as he was out for, and really keep keep the bigger story moving forward.
Well, Invincible, it's characters as well. Like even its side characters are interesting.
Yeah.
They have likable personalities, and they have like not all of them have relatable traits, but that's okay because they're still fascinating. And I think it works to its benefit that the characters all feel vastly different from one another, but all have a same goal, pretty much towards the end.
Yeah.
And I feel like the show really sets all that up just so good. Like even the family aspects were like when you tell someone about it, someone on the outside's probably thinking, oh well, the family portions of the show are probably boring. No, the way they set up that family just works really well. Those moments play well into it.
Yeah, I mean, it pays off and at that point where Omni-Man is like, he is about to kill his son, like this close. And they do that flashback with him and, playing baseball as a kid and his mom there. And Sandra Oh, by the way, is fantastic as Debbie, his mom. And it's just this really cute scene where she, in some ways, just teaches him about humanity, and he takes it to heart, and so you get this feeling that he remembers at least some sliver of that, and that's what keeps him from killing his son and then just flying off. And I thought that was just a brilliant way of paying off all of those family dynamics that we see in the earlier episodes at this very critical moment in the finale.
And it works good too, because those family moments, like you said, with those payoff, I really like how it doesn't seem like it's really sinking in with Omni-Man that whole time. Like he seems very disconnected a lot. Where you're like, man, this is like a psychopath under the skin. You feel it. You feel like this is an emotionless alien that's living amongst us. You're waiting for him to go off the deep end every second. But that moment, though, it feels natural because it's like, oh, something resonated. Yeah. And it's the moment that you as a viewer feel most desperate. You're like, oh, please don't do this. You have the John Walker effect. And I feel like the family moments help the show. And I didn't feel like I was bored at all. Like all of them have good character. And I love the jokes. Like the family jokes, they're not like cheesy. They're not corny. They're exactly what you'd say to your own family given the situation. Yeah, it's like the writers didn't try to go over the top with that. And considering the context that it's a superhero show, they very well could have.
My only issue with Mark is he wears that same shirt and sweater all the time. Like, dude, change your clothes. All right. Any final thoughts, Justin, Baul?
No, I mean, I loved it. Absolutely no complaints for once on the show. Just wish you had more episodes before they capped the season off, but I think they told the story quite nicely.
Yeah, strong coming out the gate is what I just wanted to say.
Yeah,
Just hope they don't screw it up.
Well, you're such a pessimist, Justin.
Well, it's Amazon. So,
my big hope is that they keep adding new heroes as side characters, that they add new ones.
Well, they have to, considering the death toll, right?
Really?
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, I like the ones that they had presented to us, like, I loved every single one of them. Each one of them had, like, qualities that I was like, man, this guy's a complete dork. I love him. It just, everyone just worked just so well, and I just hope that they continue that pace to make interesting characters, interesting villains, and I'm very stoked to see what it is. I'm actually glad you convinced me to get the subscription because I love this. I love this show, and I'm going to keep watching. And I think that other like companies that are looking to get into making these kinds of shows really need to look to Invincible.
I hope so. I hope companies that are making just regular shows just look at the pacing of it and understand that you should make every episode count. This whole idea of having setup episodes that don't actually pay off don't give you a full story in an episode.
If you love this, you'll love The Boys.
You'll love The Boys. Yes. Although I think they deal with different themes there that are much darker.
A little bit, but it's just as bloody and just as gory, and it's just as fun.
Yeah, it's fun, bloody, and gory. I think it has a different theme though. But yeah.
I think the art style works to its detriment as well.
You mean to it?
Yeah, with Invincible, I think that we grew up like, well, some of us did. I'm 28, so I grew up with like Batman the animated series and things like that. So I resonate with this kind of art style. And Static Shock had a very similar type of vibe in its like last few seasons, and I feel like upping it for like an adult age, like people my age, like really appreciate it. Seeing it from that perspective, it treats you like an adult. And it doesn't hold your hand through the journey, which so many shows do nowadays, and I can't stand that. You don't need to exposition dump me for 2 episodes straight. I get it after a few sentences, And I feel like Invincible, they give you just the right amount of information that you need to know at that moment. And anything that's coming where they want to like really like tease something big, they do it in such a way that it keeps you guessing, but you don't feel completely lost. Like it doesn't feel disconnected from what's already happened. And and it's fantastic. This writer definitely needs to be like, just give him money and let him write.
Yes. Well, he's the head writer is the guy who created the comic too. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think they've set a date for the release, but probably I'm guessing in about a year from now. So we'll have to wait a year, folks, but I'm looking forward to it. Okay, let's go through some quick DC Universe news. A couple things that all came out this week. We talked about Stargirl coming back this summer. This week we got an actual date for the release, and that is in August. We also got word finally that the final episodes of Supergirl will be released in the fall. We of course got 6 of them that were that debuted this spring because of Superman and Lois having to close down production over COVID. So Supergirl's episodes were filling in that gap. Now that we're moving into May, Superman and Lois will be coming back. HBO Max, interestingly, has put the entire series up to now. They've made it available as a limited streaming series on HBO Max to get more viewers. I think that's brilliant, by the way, that kind of cross marketing across their different platforms. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen more of that, to tell you the truth. But I think it's really smart, and if it gets more viewers to Superman and Lois, I'm all for that because it's a great show. So Stargirl coming back, HBO Max, a lot of this is HBO Max news. We know that they are planning a Green Lantern series, and they have cast their Guy Gardner character. He's one of Earth's other Green Lanterns. At one point, how many have they had? 4 at the same time? Anyway,
Guy, Hal Jordan,
Guy, Hal, Kyle Rayner,
and John Stewart.
That's 4. Are there any more?
And there's one more. I can't remember her name.
Is it
6? Yeah.
Oh wow, that's a lot for one. For
John
one little
Stewart,
planet.
former host of the Daily Show.
I know. I make that mistake too. No.
Boo, son. Boo.
This is John with an H.
You know better. You were in that episode of Bat Radio.
Exactly.
So Finn Wittrock, who was in American Horror Story, is going to be playing Guy Gardner. Interestingly, he is a brunette, and Guy Gardner is very blonde, maybe strawberry blonde.
Like that is a big factor.
Well, I mean, he'll look weird if they, if they don't change his hair color, and it'll look weird if they do. So it's just weird.
And Michelle Benoist is a natural brunette, but she's a blonde as Supergirl.
Oh, but I've only ever seen her blonde. Like on Glee, she was blonde.
Yeah, I sat through Glee.
You're saying that with a little bit of pain in your voice there, Ross.
Hey, okay, any guy.
What going through the series?
Ross, come back.
Ross.
Like, even the internet is trying to save him from having to explain
this. Even the internet was trying to
Sitting
save
through
him.
it once was fun. It was cool to see both her and Grant Guskinson as younger actors in younger roles. but sitting through it a second time was.
Yeah, I'm not
it
sure
is
Bleed's
torture.
one you should have to watch twice.
It's like trying to sit through the second new trilogy episode of Star Wars again. It's like
I see
you're
your
just
point.
fucking idiots.
Okay, so any thoughts on Green Lantern, Stargirl, or Supergirl?
I am very excited for Stargirl. I thought the first season was excellent. Very happy to see Guy Gardner. He's the fun one.
Yep. He's like the Kano of Green Lanterns.
Oh no.
No.
He's Johnny Cage.
No. There you go.
I don't know Johnny Cage yet, so I'm gonna
He's
go with
the
it.
Deadpool,
Guy-
Green Lantern.
Guy isn't going to stab you in the back.
Okay, good point.
Hal Jordan,
yeah.
on the other hand.
Oh, yeah. And we tend to think of him as the more heroic one, but interesting, probably not.
Hello, Hal.
Boo.
Stabbing you in the back.
Boo.
Oh.
Boo.
I don't know what you mean, Dave.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not here. Okay, here's an interesting little tidbit. Warner Brothers released a 4K trailer for the Justice League upcoming 4K release. Except another one, but it's not. I mean, it turns out to not be the Snyder Cut 4K version. They made a 4K trailer for the Joss Whedon Justice League.
Oh, for fuck's
boy.
Which
sake.
is weird. Am I wrong? Like, this guy's kind of like been shown the door in so many ways.
Can they sue themselves for you know,
Are you
what is it, market confusion? Yeah,
was
can they
this
sue
not-
themselves for market confusion?
Maybe this was a late April Fool's joke on themselves for being stupid.
It feels
Maybe.
like... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ross.
Go ahead, Raina.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny because didn't Warner Brothers kind of put like the complete kibosh on the Snyder Cut? So now it's kind of like, okay, we want you to forget that. Quit enjoying that movie. Take the 4K Whedonverse version.
Yes, take our official one. That's the one we want to make money from.
Or
yeah.
tinfoil hat moments.
Yes.
They're taking a page out of the Matt Pat book. And he posted a film theory saying that both the Joss Whedon and Snyder Cut's versions of Justice League are canon to each other.
Well,
And they're funneling people towards one so that they can appreciate that, which was the Joss Whedon one is the bad end that eventually leads to the nightmare future. And the Snyder Cut is the good ending.
You know what I hate about this is that theory actually works, and I don't want it to work
It
because I don't want an explanation for
I'll
this.
post a link in the group chat.
Yeah,
you can see what I'm
dude.
talking about.
And I
It
think
works because string theory is a thing.
yes, it does. I think that's exactly correct. I don't think it's because anyone at Warner Brothers is actually that smart.
Damn, Matt Pat is on it again.
If
Come on,
they're
man.
if they're that
The guy's
smart,
got
they
3
wouldn't
theory
be
channels.
releasing this trailer.
Oh, I watch his game theory channel all the time. I'm a complete FNAF nut.
So do I. He posted a theory about the Grubhub commercial.
I know. I saved that video when it was shared. I want to
damn
watch.
it,
You guys are just now watching that. I watched that weeks ago.
I did too.
We're
So
on
did I.
Boston now.
Guy.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that weeks ago. Okay. Some HBO news. Production began on the Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon, this week. They released a photograph of a table reading by the cast, at which they are all socially distanced from each other in this big round thing, which I thought was, it's a beautiful room, but wow, it's the weirdest table reading I've ever seen.
I looked at this picture and I thought, aside from knowing it's a table read, I in my head I'm like, please let this actually be the setting for the universe, and they're all like just super advanced people who come up with an AI simulation that makes Game of Thrones eventually.
So another simulation. We talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. quick poll for you guys. How many of you are like looking forward to House of the Dragon? Was that a no on your part, Justin? Pardon? I'm actually not looking forward to it. I mean, I won't.
Me either.
I won't not watch it. Like I'll give it a chance. But like, I feel like Game of Thrones is kind of played out right now.
It's like Star Trek.
Yeah.
I won't not watch it, but I'll not enjoy it.
Been there, done that. They fucked up season 8, so I'm not really optimistic about this at all.
I feel like a lot of us just got so burned out. We were so into it, and that we just invested everything, and now we're just like a shell of what we were when we first started watching.
Yeah.
They
I
probably could have
remember
waited a
Dave
few
being
more
excited
years.
for the new Game of Thrones episode. God, what happened to me?
What happened to me? Now
I'm not going to be
Raul,
excited
you
for
can-
Game of
Raul,
Thrones
your
until
food,
the
'cause
next fucking book is out.
Yeah, that'll happen. Baul, you're the big G.R.R. Martin fan in the group here. How do you feel about the forthcoming House of the Dragon?
He's involved. I'm in. He's not involved. I'm out.
That's a good question. I don't remember how involved he is in this. We'll have to look that up.
He's working on a game right now too. He's actually helping with the script. I think it's called Elden Ring.
Yeah, yes, he is doing that, and he's also presumably finishing the book. Who knows?
Nobody knows what he's
G.R.R.
doing.
Martin,
Real.
whatever.
What's
Rena.
George R. Martin doing right now? Not
Hopefully sleeping.
So Raina, you were talking about feeling like a shell of yourself after Game of Thrones. You know, there's another thing for that. It's called the aftermath of having love with a succubus.
I feel like I was one of those really just hyped college kids. I was like, oh yes, new episode's out. Who's coming to my house? I'll bring the booze. Well, everybody will get together. We'll watch it together. Now I'm just like a few years older, and I'm just like, I'm not excited anymore.
Dude,
that part of me's dead. Stop trying to make Game of Thrones happen. It's not happening.
That's exactly how it was back in the 90s with X-Files. Like people would have parties on Sunday nights, and then it's just sort of, then it was kind of over, and it's never really been the same since.
The succubus keeps coming back for more.
We're now on Invincible. You're years behind. Come on.
Hopefully it won't go that way. Okay, so I'm not sure which of you put this on the Trello, but I'm glad you did. Just quick trailer release of that was released this week of the remake by Steven Spielberg of West Side Story, which has apparently been ready and done for a year, but was postponed thanks to that little pandemic we've been having. How many? Who put it on there, by the way?
I think I did.
Oh, okay. I did watch it. Did anyone else get a chance to watch it?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Then I won't belabor the point other than to say I watched it, and it's so close to the original that I'm not sure why they made it. Like, seriously. I mean, down to like costumes and shots. It's like that. This is from the original movie directed by Robert Wise. I mean, it's set in the same time period, but like even the costumes are the same. I don't know. I like Spielberg, but that was not an auspicious.
Maybe you
trailer.
have some type of an alien thing pop out of the ground and suck one of them down in the earth random or
You
something.
don't know.
Who knows?
This could be the Snyder cut of West Side Story.
Maybe they're all going to get slaughtered.
Well, they have
you just
broke Ross
now
again.
the
how do you do a Snyder cut of something that's based on Shakespeare?
I'll tell you, Ross, you make that knife fight scene actually 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it's just scary.
That's a
how
long knife fight.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point.
Turn a knife
It's
fight into a sword
Shakespeare.
fight.
You just edit one of the
Done.
suits black, and you had a lot of moments of characters staring in the distance.
And he turned a knife into swords.
Yeah.
Takes everything in brown and gray.
The check it out in the Trello card. There's a link to the the trailer, and if you've seen the movie, just compare it and tell me if I'm wrong. Because
speaking of trailers, right quick, Netflix released a trailer for Lucifer season 5, part 2.
Yay! I need to watch that.
meh.
So
I know you're
very excited for that.
I wasn't into Lucifer, so for those of you who are, there you go.
There you go.
It's a fantastic show.
Okay, so you reminded me of something I wanted to bring up, but now it just went straight out of my head. So sorry about that. So last bit of news, Netflix news. Oh, I remember what I was going to ask. How many of you are planning on watching Shadow and Bone
What's that?
on Netflix?
What?
It's like their next big fantasy series. Just came out this week.
I don't know anything about it.
Know what it is.
Oh, wow. But it's like been all over Netflix.
All over Netflix stuff.
I'll be honest, it's not been all over my Netflix.
Oh, weird. Anyway,
I tell you what's been all over my Netflix. The moment Raul mentioned that Neja show, it's nonstop. The front page every time I open Netflix.
Which show?
That Neja Reborn.
I don't even know what that is. Raul, help! Yeah,
I'm not sure he's here.
Even know what it is.
I'm sorry, guys. I was typing away. Neja Reborn is a post cyberpunk apocalyptic tale of a god who is forced to be a pizza delivery boy, basically, a food delivery boy.
Huh.
And that's Neja. Neja is an ancient Chinese god.
Oh yeah, this is based on that. Yes. It's based on the like what 1,000-year-old novel or something.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Is it animated or live action?
It's animated.
It's animated. Okay.
Oh, I forgot. Bring this one up. You know, The Last Kids on Earth, the one show you liked quite a bit.
That I liked.
Yes.
Which that like
Was
last
the animated?
year? Oh, the animated one.
Well, they have a interactive version up now.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, put a link up in
It's on Netflix.
Oh, it's one of those. Okay, yeah.
So, I meant to mention it the last couple of shows, but I kept forgetting. This happened.
Yeah, let me know. Refresh my memory when you get a chance of the name of it, because I know which one.
Last Kids on Earth. Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. Okay. All right. So Netflix, by the way, its subscriber numbers this week went in the last quarter have slowed dramatically, is the word that they're using in this. In amongst the news that also there's going to begin cracking down on password sharing to a far greater degree than they have to date. We'll see how that pans out for them. But they're thinking that they're blaming the pandemic for this, the slowdown in the release of new content on Netflix is why their subscribers have not grown. But do you guys feel like that? Do you guys feel like Netflix really?
I think a lot of people have been complaining about when they raised their prices this last time around because they haven't really been putting up a whole lot of new content, and two, the fact that they're coming up with this password sharing crackdown. And I think that's driving a lot of people off because a lot of people share their accounts with others. I know I do. I mean, it's then they want to crack down on it, and that's the number one thing people go to these things for.
Well, while I agree with you, I don't think we've seen the effects of that yet, because they've started enforcing their passwords things, but they've only on a test basis. So I don't think that it's widespread enough for people to started, quitting in disgust.
So far, I haven't seen any ill effects of that one because I share mine with one other.
Yeah, exactly. I do too, and it still works. So I don't think that's a reason for this particular slowdown. I think eventually, if they do implement it, you'll see
we'll notice
more effect. Yeah,
I honestly think it's just because they're constantly and continuously losing content. Well, because everybody else is taking their content away from Netflix to put it on their own thing.
I'd like to say that I agree with Son on that. I think we're in the streaming wars right now. I think that's what people are doing. They're doing their like month trial, then they'll go to another streaming service that has a new show that they can binge all the way through. We're at that point where all the shows are being divided among their different streaming platforms. And I think that it's pulling users away from each of them. I think they're kind of slowly suffocating each other. And I think that's why a lot of these other companies are trying to push out content fast and efficiently. With Netflix, they're probably falling a little bit behind. I know that I've been on there. I've been waiting for Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, the TV series that they're supposed to be doing in that universe, and it's been delayed 3 times, and it's one of their series. So I just feel like they're getting content pulled away. And HBO Max is becoming a new contender. Like, that's just absolutely smashing them into the ground right now.
They have stepped up their game. You know, frankly, them deciding to put their theatrical releases on HBO Max.
HBO Max and Disney Plus.
And
Disney Plus, yeah.
Netflix is really just going to have to pump out content like faster than they already were. And I think that they just got so used to money coming in. They were kind of like the Steam of streaming before all these other places showed up and started competing with them.
Well,
they're used to a time before.
There's one they're not going to have to worry about, and that's going to be Peacock, because Peacock.
Yeah, it just occurred to me. Next on HBO Max is Dune.
Yes.
Dune in June.
Ooh, how many of you guys are excited by Foundation on Apple TV Plus?
I don't have it, and I don't know what that is.
I'm not going to.
Foundation trilogy.
I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite sci-fi, but I'm not gonna subscribe to another thing. So
yeah, that's my problem. I know Apple's got a lot of good stuff because, All Mankind. I wanted to kind of see that one, but it's another streaming service, and I've already got.
Well,
HBO
I've
Max,
had it for almost 2
Disney
years,
Plus.
and I've yet to pay for it. So, if you buy iPhones or any Apple products, they give you Apple TV Plus free for a year, and they extended it even beyond that because of the pandemic. So, I have been watching away.
Well, there's the thing. There's the problem right there. We don't buy Apple products.
Well, see,
it's too expensive. Hey,
not if you get these other bonuses with it.
You can buy us Apple products if you want. We won't complain.
You clearly don't care about them, so no. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and wind down this week's episode with our traditional "What Are We Watching" segment, which will be followed. After which we will finish the show formally, but we will encourage you to stick around for a little bit after that for our after show, in which we review the news of the week out of Florida, man. And so stick around for our Florida Man segment after we close the show. So let's find out what we have been watching this week. Please keep it short because we're at 3 hours and 15 minutes. So let's start with Raul the Baul.
Mine is extremely short. I have been able to watch nothing new. I've only been able to keep up with what we've been reviewing. So,
well, there's plenty, and I'm glad you invested the time in that. So you get a pass on that one, Mister. Okay, Eyebrows of Doom. We'll come back to the Eyebrows of Doom. We'll come back to Ross. Well, how about you? Oh, wait. Is he there or is he not there? I don't know.
I'm here.
Okay. Go.
So, wife and I watched a movie called Nothing to Hide. It's a French film about a group of friends who gather for a dinner party on a full moon, but as a consequence of the full moon, they are unable to tell any lies. They play a game where they put their phones in the center of the table and have to read aloud whatever they get, and they end up outing each other's secrets and hidden agendas. There's people cheating on each other. Somebody impregnates somebody. Somebody gets outed as gay. And it's just this big mess of a story that all gets wrapped up in the end after the full moon is over and nothing is actually changed.
That sounds like my kind of show. Where did you see this?
Yeah.
Where did you see it?
Was on I think it was on. We got it on Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, I will.
Sounds like
sounds
Clue,
interesting.
but without any
And,
consequences.
Yeah, with no deaths.
Yeah, and I'm also going to show off these. This
Ooh,
is
look at you
a
go,
Kit Bash
mister.
model I made from a. Come on, focus. Focus.
Pull back a little.
There we
There
go.
you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I combined 2 model kits. Both of these 2 different styles of the same units. I assembled them over 10 years ago, and finally getting around to repainting them.
Nice.
That looks
Cool.
good. Good job, mister.
So yeah, I'm
Okay.
really proud with how they're turning out.
Indeed. Sunseal. What did you watch this week?
So, because I was in the hospital, I actually got the chance to watch both Alien movies back to back.
Oh, wow.
And in a shame on you moment, I guess you could say, this is actually the first time I've seen both movies.
Oh.
So, hey,
Hand over your
those
nerd
were
card.
interesting.
I
Hand
bet.
over your nerd card.
Well, now she's
I don't know. I don't have to. I don't have to hand over my nerd card. You know why? Because I've seen them now.
now she's seen them.
Yes,
so
yes,
very
yes.
good.
You get the
Don't
honorary.
have to
Alright, well,
hand
good
over
for
your
you.
nerd card for something that's correctable.
Yes, you earned your card for sure. So good for you. We're glad you're back home from the hospital. Raina, how about you?
I actually picked up a show called Ragnarok on Netflix.
Oh, I've seen that.
It's fantastic. It's kind of cheap voiceover, but you kind of get used to it. Boy moves back to his hometown where he grew up in Norway. Come to find out he is the reincarnation of Thor. Evil giants everywhere, hidden among us. It's fantastic. It's a great show.
Yeah, it's a great show, and I think it's been renewed.
It has. A new season, I think, this fall.
Yeah. All right, Stalwart Justin.
Let's see. Pretty much covered what we were watching, but I've been playing Elite Dangerous all week, and yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. Well, my thing that I watched this week, I actually got a lot of TV in, but since we're restricting it to just one, I watched the new series on Disney Plus called Secrets of the Whales. Because I love whales, and even though I knew a lot or thought I knew a lot about whales, they revealed a lot of new things about whales. And the theme of this series, which is beautifully shot, James Carpenter, yeah, the guy who made Avatar, is the guy who produced this, and so the photography is just lush. It's gorgeous. Cameron, thank you, James Cameron. Why did I say
Not the Halloween director.
yeah, not that guy.
You say whales.
Anyway, he's a big, as you know, he's a big undersea nut ever since he made Titanic, and so he made this with National Geographic and Disney, and it each episode focuses on one or two different whale species and shows you how each one has developed its own culture. Like they show the actual, very well put. I assume that's whale song, right? Anyway, so they look at humpbacks, sperm whales, all the big whale species except blue whales. Interestingly, they completely ignore blue whales. But yeah, so
blue whales aren't mammals; they're fish.
They're mammals. Anyway, what the hell was that?
Oh God!
Jesus Christ! Anyway,
the devil's coming out of Justin. You better be
indeed. Jesus. Good
you better
Lord.
hurry up, Carlos.
Yes. So Sigourney Weaver, turn off your microphone, dude. Jeez, you're gonna freak me out. Anyway, Sigourney Weaver is the narrator for this. She's great in it. You'll learn a lot about whales and get to see them doing some things that have never been caught on film before. So, as well as understanding like how they really use language and how even different whales of the same species that live in different parts of oceans, different oceans around the world have developed unique cultures that are completely different from the cultures of whales from the same species that live in other parts of the world. It's really fascinating. You'll enjoy it.
Lots of dolphins are like that too, Carlos.
Yes.
Hear that.
Indeed. Orcas are the first episode, and they're really interesting.
Okay, Justin, we get it. You don't have to keep whispering demonic chants over there.
Indeed. All right.
You all still need to watch Blood of the Gods. Honestly.
Honestly,
Is that the Greek god thing?
Yes, yes, it is. It's the animated Netflix Greek
oh right,
God one.
yes.
You have got to watch that. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that. I just wrote it down.
Next week I will watch it.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to the end of What Are We Watching? And the formal end of the show. Good Lord.
It's a
This
soundboard.
is just Justin practicing his Florida man.
Yeah, it does sound like that, indeed. Okay, so folks at home, thank you for joining us for this edition of the Real Super Geeks podcast. We will be back next week, of course, on May 7th. So brand new month as the spring continues. Until then, have a good week, geeking out in whatever way you love best. And
to remember, you are loved and appreciated by just your being you.
Indeed. And Index, oh my God, it's like you timed that perfectly. I've been fixated on this the entire show, watching Index's face.
Yay!
I'm the new fidget spinner.
You are the new fidget spinner.
That's great.
Oh, Travis is going to have something to compete with now. I'll tell you what. Okay, so we're going to move on to our Florida Man segment in just a second. So please stick around for that if you're interested, because Florida Man's always weird and funny. If not, then Justin, play us out, keyboard cat. And that's the show.
Okay,
Right.
I have to lead the charge on Florida
It's
Man.
3
this
a.m.
week.
Good night.
All right. Good night,
Good night,
Ross.
everybody.
Good night, Raina. All right. Let's find out what's going on with Florida Man. And you are starting us off there,
Okay.
Index.
I absolutely have to get this out of the way. It is just okay. This one's actually terrifying, by the way.
Oh, great.
Florida man chokes and stabs his wife in an attempt to help her commit suicide.
The fuck?
What?
Florida man chokes and stabs his wife in an attempt to help her commit suicide.
I don't know how to respond to that.
It reminds me of that episode where Quark goes to Garrick and says, "Kill me," but I don't want to see it coming.
Wow. Okay. All right. So here's my first Florida Man story. Florida man accused of attacking family members with samurai sword.
I know for a fact my family with samurai swords.
All right. Who's next?
It's almost as crazy that one from a couple of years ago where it said Florida man waving Klingon sword in traffic.
I remember that.
I remember that. That was the
Yeah. Patleths, don't leave home without him.
Florida woman arrested for offering people free lap dances and asking cops to bang her.
Okay. Wow.
Are you sure that was Florida and not Kentucky?
No, it says Florida.
Florida woman. Oh my God, that avatar is freaky. What have I done? What have I done in creating this?
You've done exactly what you intended to do.
Indeed you have. Indeed you have.
Florida man fined $30,000 for not cutting his grass.
Jesus, doesn't that make sense?
They take it seriously there, apparently. So there is a new book out by a Florida man named Tyler Gillespie called The Thing About Florida, which is apparently a book talking about how Florida wasn't always the weird state that we have come to know and love as it is today. And he says there's much more to Florida than you think.
Yeah, the Everglades.
There you go.
The Everglades is pretty much most of Florida. Florida man steals $48,000 worth of puppies.
Puppies?
Wow.
Puppies.
That's a lot to put in your pants.
Wow. So here's one that is newsworthy only because it's so not newsworthy. Wanted Florida man arrested at Tallahassee Greyhound Station.
Okay.
What?
Like, why is that news? Like a Greyhound station? I don't know. It just,
Guess he was trying to plan his getaway.
It's a slow
I don't
week.
know. Google
Slow week at
Google
the,
put it pretty high up in the algorithm, so that's why I thought it was weird that it's like that's almost like
Florida
non-news.
man.
Florida man cop arrested for using woman's credit card information to buy stuff at Walmart.
I think Justin fell asleep.
Yeah, Justin, are you awake?
No, I just had to go and remove something from a group. Not our group, not a group that. Yeah, someone just tried to post a damn nude photo.
Jesus.
Oh, so that's what the heavy breathing was.
Oh, that explains
No,
everything.
Oh, that's bad. Oh, dear God.
Let's see.
Why would you post that in the Facebook group?
Florida man says, I am a world famous wrestler. Shirtless, 19-year-old, wielding knives, breaks into an apartment, police say.
Florida man.
Okay. Here's one out of Orlando. Florida man accused of smuggling drugs into jail inside his prosthetic leg.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Fake leg, Florida man.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. This is more just incompetent in government incompetency, maybe.
Florida man. Be expecting better.
Florida man charged with carjacking his own car.
I feel like that happened a month ago too.
This happens every week in Florida. It's nothing. We shouldn't be surprised.
Well, on the prosthetic leg front, another story out of South Florida, in which a South Florida man says the hospital lost his prosthetic leg. I'm sure it went to jail with drugs in it.
Omari.
Boo. Oh no, that's
Wait. Okay. How? Okay. Florida man who streaked at the Super Bowl wants to plead guilty, but judge won't let him. He wants to plead guilty. That would make it an open shut case. What are you doing, Judge?
There are certain instances where a judge will not let that happen if they believe that the defendant is like not really competent.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so they will prevent them from entering a guilty plea until they get counsel.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
That happens every now and then. Okay, so here's one. Florida man. Okay, there's the headline and there's the actual story. Okay.
Okay.
The actual story is a Central Florida man has been stuck in Cuba since December after going to visit family, and it remains unclear when he will be able to return home. I'm assuming this is because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the headline.
The Florida headline.
Yeah, here's the Florida headline. Florida man stuck Cuba.
And are we surprised with anything like that comes out of Florida?
That's out of that's a Fox news station in Orlando, Fox 35.
Not surprised.
Okay, so here's one. Florida man arrested for reportedly tossing an alligator into Wendy's.
Again, I feel like that's happened before.
It was a different restaurant. And
I
Wendy's.
guess alligator tossing is a thing in Florida.
I guess it is.
So here's your Florida hero of the week, I guess. Florida man finds $1.5 million worth of cocaine washed ashore in Palm Beach.
Wow.
He turned it over to the authorities.
Oh,
So there's your hero moment.
good Florida man.
Yeah, all that money he missed out on.
Wow. Well, it was drug money, so you don't want to. You don't want to actually.
Yeah, but now the government gets that money instead.
Sure. So they're the ones that the drug runners will be mad at, not you. Anywho, yes, that is a good Florida hero story. Florida man got pulled over because of an air freshener. He fought the law and won. This is from a 2003 traffic stop. It took them 18 years to resolve this air freshener story.
Wow, I would give it up. I mean, God.
I guess it was the principle of the thing.
Principal
Florida man arrested for trafficking MDMA on a, quote, bike at night with no lights.
So they actually caught him for not having lights, right?
I guess so.
That's actually a rule here too, that all bicycles are required to have lights, and
especially if you're running drugs in them.
well, yeah, but
Don't call attention to yourself.
There's a lot of idiot drivers around here, so like even if I were to go out at night on my chair, I would have to put some type of light on it.
Well, you can get these really cool little strap-on blinky red lights that I got for my bike or my bike trailer, they're very cheap on Amazon and very cool, and they blink in different rhythms.
I found the unicorn.
Uh-oh.
Two Florida hero stories in 1 week.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Homeless Florida man rescues driver from burning SUV.
Whoa.
Florida man.
There you go. 2 Florida mangs.
All right. Well, if you can't tell from the obvious, I am fading fast. We got any more?
Indeed. That's all I've got. I'm starting to go into repeats from last week.
Yeah.
But I do want to say this one just because it was funny last week. It's still funny this week. Florida man seems to get butt injection during Zoom hearing. It still makes me laugh. It was
that would be something Sean O'Halloran would do. I'm ragging on him because his ass is not here.
So there you go. Don't get your butt injected during a court hearing, folks at home.
Or at least turn the camera off when you do it.
Indeed. All right, son, you got any...
I'm actually watching a video right now.
It looks like it from what Index is doing.
Yeah.
Oh, you just gave me side eye. Oy.
I'm at this point. I'm trying to verify the Florida headline claim because it's a video.
Well, let's be careful on sharing video content.
Well, it's shared by the police department themselves, so that's what I'm watching.
Yeah, with Twitch, we're still on Twitch. I don't know what their thing is. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and sign off Twitch since Ross is already gone off.
Well, I think we're pretty much done anyway, right? Like,
okay, that's just creepy. Okay, so
did you want to show this? Was that the idea?
No, I wanted to. The headline is Florida man gets tasered while driving. Police officer thrown from truck. I wanted to watch this to make sure that the headline was accurate, and it is indeed accurate. So it's basically a traffic stop in which the guy who's being stopped hops back into his truck to drive off away from the officer. Not been cleared to leave yet. So the officer jumps into the truck after him, and as the guy's driving away, the officer tasers him, but the guy starts gunning it and actually throws the officer out of the vehicle because he's not seatbelted in.
Right, of course. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Confusing headline, though. But
confusing headline. Honest, indeed. But confusing headline.
Honest, but confusing, indeed.
Oh, God, that next avatar. That just...
So we got I think we talked about the guy whose family created the church that was selling the bleach COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
He's been ordered to forfeit $8.4 million in fraudulent PPP loans over the whole thing.
Oh, how the fuck are you?
Wow. Okay. Well, I can't think of a better way to finish off our Florida Man's segment this week.
Actually, I do have the best way to end it off.
Yes.
Florida Man runs around in boxers throwing water on people. Also, platinum selling rapper.
There you go.
Also, something Sean O'Halloran would do minus the platinum rapper.
Yeah, minus the platinum.
No. He'd probably make an aluminum foil of platinum just to put around himself. Then he would be a platinum rapper.
Then it would be a platinum rapper, indeed. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our Florida Man segment. Justin, why don't you play us out, Keyboard Cat?
Oh, yes.